Okay, we're here with episode 3 of the Keep It Rollin' podcast. We just got done with our Sunday open mat. I'm Kyle Perkins, and I'm here with Joey Deal.
Always.
And Tayla Meredith.
Meredith.
Oh, sorry. Okay, awesome. Cool. We're getting that right. We got to get everybody's names correctly here.
Starting after last episode, the first time we had a guest and he butchered their name, every episode I want you to do their name wrong.
No, I think that'll be natural. That'll be easy
you don't have
for
to try.
me. Yeah.
Tayla, not Taylor. I wanted you to call her Taylor.
Oh, I should have done that. That would have been. That does happen a lot.
How often are you called Taylor?
More than I could name on one hand, and even Kayla. I get
Kayla
a lot.
instead of Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor.
Nice.
It's a good name. It's
Very
an original.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So welcome.
How were your rolls today? That's
what we're
always
gonna
our
start
first
with,
thing
yeah.
we have to know.
My rolls were good. Definitely some tough matches.
Nice. I see some effect on your face already. What happened?
I did get elbowed in the head
Nice.
today.
Which we'll say, it's very, very rare. I've never seen you get hit like that. I've never seen you have a bump.
Yeah.
But, we got video, so
Got
it's
a
good.
unicorn.
When we
horn.
watched it in slow motion, it was much more devastating than we watched it in real
Did
speed.
you watch
But
it?
yeah, there's a pretty good bump there.
Who did it? Can we call him out?
Phil's Potent Peppers.
Prairie Dog Phil.
He took over the podcast
He
last
told
week.
me Prairie Dog Phil
Yep.
came in here and elbowed our guest
Yep.
and then left.
He knew what he was doing, this guy.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
but
we're
how
good.
was your rounds?
It was good. It was tough. I feel like I've been working on trying to find my triangles a lot. That was our study this past week.
Nice.
So I was trying to get more triangles in and keep them.
Nice.
But,
So
things
we
happen.
kind of know what people are working on just based on like the curriculum. But so then what else outside of triangles or even submissions, anything else that you notice about your rounds? Positionally, it could even be something that's maybe not technical.
I've been trying to work on being a little bit more aggressive with my approach to things. I realize I normally wait till someone puts me in something and then react from there. So I need to be a little bit more proactive.
I felt that today. So we recorded our rounds with Tayla right away.
Yep.
And I felt she was like really aggressive against both of us.
She's trying to show off.
Yeah,
The camera gets turned on. You know?
It's true. Right? Camera does
Yeah.
change
Camera
things,
does add
right?
a
little pressure. She was like throwing every submission at us. It was good.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch it.
Especially your guys' round. Yeah, it was really cool to see you guys going through a lot of different variations of the triangles that you've been working on. You can tell.
I think she got me in a back triangle.
Yep.
That was a really tight back triangle.
Yep.
And then she also, front triangles. She combined them.
Yep. It was really
Then
cool
it was
to
like
see
arm
that.
bars and kimuras off of it.
And that's something I've been noticing over the past, that this module that you've been teaching has been submissions. And then every week has been a different topic of a different submission. And you can really see that in people's games. Which submission they're working on is just kind
And
of
usually
coming
it's
up
the
naturally
week,
more.
The week after. So like Adam was talking about kimuras. He said like he's been really hitting a lot of like the trap kimura stuff. And that's what we worked on last. So it usually takes about a week. So it's like that week everyone's thinking about triangles. It's going to be hard to finish. Next week triangles will be easier.
Yeah. Yeah. The setups will come a little faster. And people it just won't be on everyone else's mind. It'll be on yours. Yeah.
What else? Anything else about rolling?
Um,
So more aggressive. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I had a variation of rounds. I rolled with some lengthy guys today and very different than some of the girls that I roll with.
Yeah, so like the variety of people you train with today, and this is like gets right into a topic I wanted to talk about with you with jiu-jitsu. So the variety you had, obviously you rolled with me and Kyle. I'm more your size. We're like same size. Kyle's a little bit bigger. But then you had like someone like Anna today was in our open mat. Anna's a really talented jiu-jitsu practitioner with her. She's purple belt, should be a brown belt, will be soon. She's someone who, is like even smaller than you, shorter.
Yeah.
So you actually get to experience being the bigger person in terms of height and size. So what would you say as a female grappling in jiu-jitsu? Obviously, most the time people are bigger than you, right?
Yeah.
So when you get to roll with someone smaller, what's the mentality? Do you feel like you have to be careful? Do you feel do you feel totally different? Like the round's completely different?
Yeah, I feel like I'm not like trying to like put all of my weight on her. But also Anna's very good and she had me in side control for pretty much the whole round.
Yeah.
But
Anna's good. And that's it's same thing with you. It's like I was talking to Phil afterwards because, he bumped you and I was like, you got to be careful. It's like But at the same time, you guys are both, same thing with Anna. You guys are so good. It's not like we can go light.
Yeah, it was I was filming the round between Tayla and Phil, and it was really competitive. They were catching each other back and forth.
It's hard. It's hard to, that's one of the most challenging things for a big guy to learn is how to make a beneficial round with someone really small or a woman, especially if you're rolling with someone, Phil's, 200 plus. On a good day, what do you think?
Yeah,
220?
Yeah, 195. I got you back.
Oh,
Phil.
man,
I got you, buddy.
Phil.
I got you.
Phil, we'll ask him next time I see him. But I think, like, honestly, the ability for a big guy to roll with someone and make the round good for them and good for you, it's a tough skill. Yeah. And because you guys are good, and the better you get, the more pressure someone's give you. And it's like if a big guy's only game is to be big, like if you're relying on holding and smashing someone. As soon as you get tough, that's what they're going to go back to.
Yep.
So be prepared for it.
Yeah. I remember telling a bunch of people who are in that kind of problem is just like, the more the big guys don't get a good round out of you, it's their fault.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
You're good enough to be a good round for everybody, but if they decide to make it a bad round, which they can because they're bigger than you, that's on them for making it a bad round so they don't get good training in.
Yeah, they can't feel bad.
Yep.
What I mean? If they're like, man, that round wasn't good. It's like, well, maybe you should play your guard.
Yep.
Maybe you should try something that doesn't rely on gravity to be your friend.
Let's move a little bit, right?
Yeah.
That's what this is, right?
More movement with a smaller person, I think, is good advice. And playing bottom position more.
Yeah.
So like, with someone like Phil, we talked about that. I said, like, next time you're rolling, it's like, just play bottom, and that's a chance for him to develop something that's not great yet. And if he does that with someone his size, it might be tough.
Yeah.
But he gets to practice, and then both you and Phil get a good round.
Yeah.
And we're just using Phil because I like saying Phil's name, to be honest. It rolls off my tongue. Well,
it rolls
Phil.
off really easy.
Okay, so good rounds today, good stuff. Let's get into jiu-jitsu with you. So let's start from the beginning. I know the show is new, so everything's kind of like a first, but you're our first female guest. Mm-hmm. So we definitely get a huge different perspective from you being someone who, the reality is, what do you think the ratio is in general, Kyle? Not just for our school or for schools we know, but jiu-jitsu as a whole?
I think you're generous if you say 20 or 30 to 1, right?
So like 20%?
No, I'd say like 20 men to every one woman, right?
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you say? I mean,
I don't know. Yeah,
that's pretty honest.
Really bad at math and ratios.
I would say,
give me a percentage. So let's say 100% would be, obviously 100% is not male. There's female.
20 out of 1's like 5% or something like that.
5% female.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah.
And you're a survivor.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a small demographic.
Yeah. And I mean,
it's growing a lot since even since I started. Like I remember, who can you think of? Try to think who's the first female that you remember in your jiu-jitsu world?
I actually do remember there was when I was like 17, 18, we were starting, there was a lady Kay. You remember that lady Kay who used to train? Yeah, there was a woman who used to train when I was like a white belt. So I'd always trained, and had like, but she was the only one. She was the only one in class. And then, remember Casey?
Casey. No.
Remember the really short girl, Casey?
Maybe.
She moved away. She got like her purple belt and stuff, and she was kind of tough. But I mean, still, they're always very far. Obviously, you remember them because they're so very far and in between.
Yeah. It's just that's how rare though.
Yeah.
There's not that many, especially in our school. We don't have any female black belts that made it all the way through in Crystal Lake. I can't think of anyone.
Yeah. I think Liz was the one who got the closest. She got her brown belt, but she didn't get her black belt from Jeff.
Liz stands out.
Yep.
And of course, like I already mentioned, Anna. Anna's someone who has been pretty constant for the last 6 years or something.
Yeah.
But she's like, we always know there's going to be a female who's training with us. But I think of it as a good goal to try to increase those numbers and try to make it a little bit more of a, just for your own partners and stuff. So, we do well when it comes to being able to blend together and have everyone train with everyone, for the most part. It's very rare that you get hit in the head by Phil. Yeah. Just happens to be today.
It was the day. It just so happened.
Phil.
He knew what he was doing.
Rolls right up the tongue.
He wanted us to talk about him all day.
Yeah. No, but I think we do pretty well with letting you can train with almost everyone. Is there any, and that goes into a big point about, women, and we have a bunch of stuff to talk about it, but, the idea of do you feel like you're comfortable training with people, like all different people from the school?
Oh yeah.
And how come? It's definitely because you are I would say most of the time it's just you. You know, we have a good handful of girls, but not many who train regularly. Mm-hmm. So most of the time it's just gonna be you, and like you seem pretty comfortable training with everyone.
I will say, like, when I first started, I was only comfortable training with my sister. So when I was first starting, I was like, okay, Dakota, what days can you go? And we'll both just go together and we'll just be each other's partner. Well, that only lasted for so long. Schedules changed and everything. So I had to get comfortable training with the guys pretty quickly, just because there weren't a lot of other options. But after that, I kind of just look at it as, you know, we're all here to trying to get like better ourselves, and like I can help you, you can help me, and we'll just benefit from each other. So I don't really think of it like, oh, you're a boy, you know, like it's not like that for me. It just, we're all just teammates trying to get better.
That's cool. Do you get intimidated by certain people? Maybe like when we had like just our open mat, you know, some of the people that'll come will be from a different school. So then you'll have someone who maybe is like, you know, bigger than you. You don't know who they are. You don't know how they roll. Do you maybe try to avoid people? Do you think about that? Do you maybe just roll with them a little bit different?
I definitely roll differently.
Okay.
I'll like play different games. So if I know someone's like bigger than me, maybe I won't try to like go to their go to mount or try to like be on top and just get like tossed off. I'll try to like maybe stick to like their legs and stuff. I was rolling with someone today, and he had really long legs, and I was trying to get him into a heel hook, and he tried to roll out, and I just stuck to it. So I'll try to like play different games that way.
That's cool.
But yeah, I'm not trying to get like tossed off of people.
Yeah, but that's a hard thing to like, you know, but to be comfortable rolling with people who could do that and just having confidence in your jiu-jitsu, you know.
And I can speak from a small person's perspective, so I don't know if you feel this way. You do have some guys who are really big, but you're in that sweet spot. I wish I was your size, where I feel like there's no one in the world that you're not like, oh, this person could accidentally crush me.
I just remember,
but I
like
have that every single day.
If we did something in a huge group of people and you were splitting people into small and big people, I would always be in the big people group, but the smallest person over there. Like,
that kind of sucks too. Yeah,
well,
you got that. Yeah, but I, from my point of view of that, like I am very careful about new people.
Yeah.
It's like when I roll with everyone, there's no one I've ever said like, hey, I don't want to roll with you, and I think, you know, there are times when that's called for, especially when you're newer to jiu-jitsu, where there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I don't want to roll with you today. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's almost a confidence level. Once you get confident enough, you're confident saying, no, thanks, I'm good. Today I don't want to do that, which is hard at first. I think you're very nice. Someone asks you to roll, you're like, okay, I'll do it. It's like, you know, I think that's something to work on in the future too, is like know the time. And that could be because maybe you have a tournament or something coming up that it's not worth the risk. Mm-hmm. The benefit completely is not, it's overweighed by the risk. And but so I know that feeling, and I think when I roll with someone brand new who I can see physically might be dangerous just from their weight, because, you know, we have people, it's just the reality, it's not malice, it's not them being mean, it's just the reality of physics. When they fall on your wrist, it's going to break your wrist. If they fall on your leg, it just pain.
Crush you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, this is just the reality of it. And the better we get at jiu-jitsu, the more we can manage the risk, but there's still always a risk. So when I train with someone new, I'm very cautious and I'm very careful, and I almost set the energy of the roll as a nice round. And then once I feel them being a little bit more, if they're too violent, they're going too hard, then I have to go into defensive positions. And that's like a skill to set for myself. I'm not trying to win. I'm just trying not to get hurt. Yeah. And then by the end of the round, they start to realize like, okay, why am I trying so hard? You know, it's like usually they identify, and it's different because as a black belt, people kind of, they respect you more, or they're just trying to kill you more. So it's there's different. It depends on who you're with. But.
Well, I remember you and me were having a conversation once. One of the white belts came up to us and was like, "How do I deal with, you know, just a hyper aggressive, super strong guy who's going crazy coming at me?" And you and me kind of told him that, you know, I'll just kind of get a little more defensive with that person, keep myself safe, make sure I don't get submitted, make sure I don't get hurt. And then we had that whole conversation with the person, and then you and me were privately talking about it later, and we were like, "Yeah, but when you're a white belt, you don't have the ability to do that."
Sounds easy.
Just, it sounds easy.
Which is like, just keep yourself safe.
What are you doing? Yeah, just defend your arms
against that 350-pound guy.
Yeah, it could be a problem. So we understand the struggle. Yeah,
yeah, and I think you do a good job of just being. You're such a friendly person. Like I said, you're willing to roll with everyone, and everyone wants to take care of someone friendly. So it's it's most of the time going to be great, but it is something to at least talk about and consider. It's like, I know people have definitely mentioned this idea online and talked about it in terms of like, you don't have to roll with everyone.
Yeah.
And that's completely fine. You know, even just as the school gets bigger, when you have we have a pretty small team in terms of size. So everyone's friends, everyone talks to each other, but there's definitely schools in the world that have so many people that they're in the same team, but they don't know each other. You know, you never roll, or like daytime versus nighttime crews.
Yep.
So it happens, and then you have to, you know, be able to manage that. And you look at someone and say, maybe not today. And you can say that politely and nicely. And I'm sure that's happened sometimes, you know, where people then get insulted, like, you don't want to roll with me? Why?
Yeah,
what's wrong with me?
There's a way to say it to people.
There's
you know?
definitely
and then people get upset too, because it's a very common thing. Like, you'll say no to somebody, and then someone will ask you who is what I don't even want to use it easier, but just a more fun role, and you'll say yes to that person, and then they see you roll with that.
Like,
what the heck?
What's wrong with me?
Yeah, so
it's a delicate thing, but I do believe it's a skill.
But I also say too, I mean, that's so
I've done it.
But someone who gets upset by that, they need to not get upset by that and notice that there's a reason that people don't like to, you know, roll with that person. So a perfect example was, hopefully he doesn't listen to a podcast. I highly doubt he will listen to our podcast. But we used to train with this guy, Robert, who trained with us. And Robert.
I can guarantee Robert's not listening.
Yeah, that's just not his style.
I don't think he has a phone.
But Robert was crazy good, super tough, you know, really competitive rounds with us all the time. But the difference, I would say, is Robert just beats you up the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, I remember,
no matter who it is.
And I remember I would go in the locker room with him, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I tapped that guy 10 times today," and be like, "What's wrong with you? Like, don't do that to people." And the difference I realized though is, if Robert asked somebody to roll, their reaction would be yes, but they would like, "Oh man," but I almost have like a line of people asking me to roll every day, because I'm only going to tap you once or twice, and I'll probably let you tap me, and, you know, we're going to have fun, you know?
Yeah, I think
it's not a bash. You know, he was a great guy. You know, it's just a different
great
thing.
Guy.
You know?
It's a mentality for training and like longevity of training.
Yep.
And also, like, I think I take it upon myself to develop people. And I know, you know, this actually comes into another idea, is like, when you roll with us, I know there's times, and I've heard you say, like, are you going light? Or like, you know, and
taking it easy.
Are you taking it easy? Like, it's not about like taking it light or taking it easy, but I take it upon myself as a teacher, or like as a higher up belt, to try to develop or foster people well. And if I just go and try to beat everyone I roll with, no one's going to get better. They're going to get tougher, but they might not get the same value of the roll. It's like, we only have 5 minutes together. I'm going to roll with everyone. Me and you have 5 minutes. And if I just pin you in side control and say, you can't move, and it's like, well, that's how it goes. That doesn't help me as much as it could. And it certainly doesn't help you. So, and then the rounds are just fun. So I'd rather everyone be excited to roll with me. And I know, you know, when we travel, me and Kyle travel and we do stuff, and always people are like, hey, can we roll? Can we roll? Can we roll? No one's ever like, oh man, I don't want to roll with this guy. It's gonna be rough. Well, it's fun.
Think about too, if you like what you described as somebody holding you down in side control. If like you wrote down like the
give me an analogy.
Like the play-by-play.
Hit me with one.
Like the play-by-play of like a sports game. You know, you can read like every single play that happened throughout the whole game. Okay. And a good game has a tremendous amount of like plays and stuff that would happen. Mm-hmm. If you read a really good roll, it would be like, you know, rolling Kimura to trap Kimura, and then this guy reversed to
like
arm.
But
paragraph. A boring roll would be, you know,
one sentence.
Guy passed the guard, held in side control.
Boring.
5 minutes of that, you know.
There's a lot of boring jiu-jitsu.
Yep. And boring jiu-jitsu can be good.
Yeah. So it's not a commentary on the skill. It's just what I think is more interesting. Yep. And, you know, being smaller, you know, we need to move, right? We need to be able to keep it moving and keep it rolling.
Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
Every time. Press a button. Thank you. One more. Yeah, all right. So we'll go back to talking now. So let's do an origin story. I know I heard you say your sister, who we all know and love, Dakota. Mm-hmm. So technically, Dakota probably started training before you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so Dakota started training, I think like a few weeks after you opened the gym.
Okay.
And then she would try to convince me to come in and
How did that conversation go? So she said, hey, you should come to class because I think you'll like it, or because I want to choke you? Like,
I think it was more like she wanted a partner.
Okay. For her own comfort.
Yeah.
Which I think I said in the first episode, I don't know if I remember correctly or not, but I said for myself, that was a big reason why I started training or could train. It's because of my brother. Yeah. I asked I was so nervous at 14 years old. It's like, you know, whenever my brother came, that's when I felt more comfortable. So I relate to that.
Yeah. So she dragged me into a class because I didn't want to come. I'll be honest. And she dragged me in, and I don't remember what the class was, but I was just kind of like, okay, it's not terrible.
How did she describe it? Was she like, this is martial arts?
She said it was jiu-jitsu.
And you said that, what the hell is that?
Tayla, you will learn to kill.
Yeah. Like, it's hard to describe to someone. Jiu-jitsu means nothing to you, right? At that point?
I knew of it
Really?
from like UFC and stuff. We used to watch it with my dad and my brother. But nothing like I know now. Like nothing compared to what I know now.
For reference, for those who don't know, Tayla's been training now for over 2 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a really talented blue belt, competes all the time, does really well. So, just people know you're not just brand new.
No.
She's a vet.
Yeah.
Now.
Grown into it for sure. Yeah.
So we go back to the beginning though. And so you know nothing. You come to your first class. What did you think?
First class I liked it. It was good. And then kind of from there, just come whenever I could. And then it definitely helps with my sister being there. And then after a while, like I said, like schedules changed. Couldn't really get in when she could get in. And then I got a different job. And then I was able to come in a little bit more. And then, well, before that, I actually remember sitting down talking to you guys, and you guys were like, you should compete. And I was like, I don't know about that. And they were like, yeah, no, it'd be good. So I was like, okay, maybe. And then 4 or 5 months later, I think I had my first competition.
We'll definitely talk about your first competition. We have a lot of stories to talk about that.
That's a good part of the podcast for sure.
But so do you have a moment? Because obviously I know, you don't even have to tell me. I can tell you really, and I'm sure, Kyle, you can say this with being a teacher when you're in classes. I know when someone really appreciates jiu-jitsu and wants to learn it, has dedication to learning.
Yep.
I can feel that from you. Do you remember, was there a technique? Was there a moment? Was it maybe you rolling live? Was it anything that you can think of? What was the moment that you said oh, I want to do this more?
I think it was after a class. We went to my dad's gym, and I would want to try all the things I learned and onto him.
Yeah.
I would
Poor Tom.
Poor Tom. I would put him in
come here, Tom. Lay down. Let me see this.
Over a naked choke, and he'd be like, "This won't work," and I'm like, "Oh, it works."
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So I think that's kind of what got me to.
Because I think every jiu-jitsu practitioner, everyone who sticks around has a moment. Hard for me to remember the exact moments, but there is something where it's oh, I do like this a lot. Yeah. I do want to learn this more.
That's funny to hear Tayla say though, because that's every story my mom will tell is me learning jiu-jitsu as a kid and coming home, let me show you this. Let me show you. Get off me. Yeah.
Speaking of though, Kyle, I talked to my mom. I don't know if you talked to her. I think you said.
Oh yeah, my mom's already.
So we
hooked.
are definitely going to do a podcast.
A mom episode.
A mom episode.
Awesome.
I don't know if it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be really fun. So they have to roll though.
They got to roll.
I told her, and
that's
she's like, I'll do it for 1 minute.
1 minute. Okay.
She's like, yeah, I'll roll with Sydney.
I think that's probably all they'll have. Yeah.
We could cheer them out. It'd be fun.
Yep.
So moms are going to do it.
Oh man, I'm training Sydney hard.
When's Mother's Day? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Yeah. We should probably ask.
We should probably know.
I think Mother's Day episode. We got some time to train them. So that's that's kind of like your origin of how you fell in love with it, right? So you're saying the techniques even. So it wasn't even trained live. So learning actually.
No, my live training, and I was just looking at this a few weeks ago. It was 2 years ago, my first live ever training, and I think I was rolling with you, Kyle, and it was just so sloppy.
You have video of it?
Oh yeah, we have video.
That's really cool.
I have the video of the first time she rolled. It's around with you, around with me.
Yeah.
It's kind of like today. So it'd be actually a cool side by side.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good plan. Write that
really
down.
Cool.
Jot that down.
Notes taken.
Jay's got the notes. That's a good idea.
It was not good.
But yeah, to watch the difference.
That's cool though. I mean,
it's mind blowing. Cause
I don't have video of me rolling for the first time. Yeah.
I have no videos of me as a white belt rolling. Not a single one. Nothing. So I wish I could go back and look at it and be like, "Ooh, that's interesting. Look at how goofy that was. What was I doing? What was I thinking?" Because we can actually track that and man, how much better you are now. It's it's light years in 2 years. I mean,
it's crazy. The amount of progress is just it's really cool.
Which I think that's what I'm trying to get at when I asked that question of what made you fall in love with it. And I see the idea of it being more of the technical stuff. You actually enjoyed learning and then going to try it.
Yeah.
Versus some people really love the first moment they're sweating and they're oh, they had this hard moment. That's what hooks them. And nothing wrong with that. It's just different. But I think I'm more like you too. I learned something and then I was like, I really want to try to do that.
Yep.
Wasn't just about, and obviously I love competing. I love live stuff, but if you can fall in love with that, it usually equals a good teacher too.
Well, like you were saying about, you could tell somebody's passion. You go over to people sometimes and, you show them a move and you'll show somebody a move. And even if they have like some enthusiasm about it, they'll kind of have this like, oh, I got it. And then that'll be it. Yeah. And then you really know somebody appreciates what you show them when they go like, let me try that on you. And they want, and I get that from both of you guys all the time. Yeah. You can tell they're genuinely curious about what you showed them,
I will say, and this is my nicest compliment to you. The best one I can think of is you are just a really great student. You come whenever you're in class. You're always. I can just you get it too. I can feel when someone is paying attention. Not to name names, but you can always tell. Some people are just like, and a lot of them are just tired, and maybe they hate my voice. I don't know, but some people are just like, oh god. Yeah.
They come to roll.
Yeah, and they're waiting for it to. Not many people. I would say our school, in general, we've developed a lot of really good learners. I feel like because of how we teach and stuff, it's like makes it interesting.
Yep.
The reality is, I would put it on myself. If no one was interested, it would be my fault, not your fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say my best compliment is that you're a really good learner. You're a very good student. You like want to learn. You ask the good questions, and if you mess up, you say, hey, can you help me with this? Which that takes some courage too. I know I didn't do that a lot when I was first starting. I was too shy. I wouldn't be like, hey, excuse me, can you help me? I'd be too shy.
Yeah.
But you definitely right away were good at that. So there's your compliment.
Thank you.
One
for the
many.
day. That's all you get.
That's all
We're
you
not
get.
doing it again.
Okay. Okay. What else? Origin wise, you got any questions? Origin stories?
Yeah, that's interesting. So, did you ever have a moment in the beginning that you thought you were going to quit? Did you have any discouraging?
That's going to lead us to a good story.
Where I thought I was going to.
Well, yeah. Let's go. Yeah, we'll go before you competed the first time. Were there just any things?
Maybe not even
like,
quit, but did you ever? Discouraged of like, I don't know. This isn't interesting.
Yes, exactly. Just maybe that like it didn't, I would say when you get hooked, it jumps this priority level in your life. Mm-hmm. And as it was making it up that scale, did you feel like there were moments where like I'll just maybe not do this. There's other things that are more important for me.
I mean, I'm sure there were moments where I was like, oh, maybe I'll just take this day off and then do other things. But I felt like once I kind of like made this a priority as like, okay, work, gym, jiu-jitsu.
That's awesome.
This is like the routine now. And I'm very routine based. So I like to make sure that I stick to it. And then even if I have like a day off or anything, I think I realize like how far back it sets me.
Yep.
And even if it's just like 1 or 2 days, I'm just like, oh, I feel like I know nothing anymore.
Yep.
Yep. So it's like I need to I like to stick to a routine, and obviously life happens and like family and friends and everything are important, but once I make that a priority, I like to stick to it.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
really cool.
I mean that says a lot about consistency.
Yeah.
So I think consistency is way more important than like intensity. A lot of jiu-jitsu people are very intense, and they train like 5 days a week for a little short amount of time, and then they fall off. But you've been, for 2 years, you've been very consistent. And I think that's paid off more than you just being like, I'm going to train really hard this week and then take a week off, and then train really hard and then take a week off. That usually doesn't translate too well.
No, you got to stay in a consistent schedule. Make sure you're coming in, trying to learn things, practicing what you're learning, applying it. Yeah.
But you're doing great.
Thank you.
So I'm thinking about. So yeah, I mean, Dakota, your sister. Mm-hmm. So she starts. You start. And and this is not to talk bad about Dakota. We love Dakota so much.
She's the best.
She's the best. But the passion that you showed for jiu-jitsu definitely skyrocketed. And maybe that is, like you said, you had a new schedule, a job that you could train a little bit more. Her time, she had a different schedule. But it's funny to see when, same thing with my brother. When my brother doesn't train jiu-jitsu, he was a wrestler, and he has the mentality of a wrestler. And I love my brother as well. It's just he didn't connect to jiu-jitsu, I don't think, in the same way I did. Okay. I just adopted it. It's like, this is what I do, and I love the mentality of it. I love the even like the spirit of jiu-jitsu like made sense to me. And like my brother did just not as much. And I think Dakota, it's funny to so do you remember, I remember you guys rolling and her like, kind of roughing you up in terms of like strength. She is your older sister.
Yeah.
And
Got
I
that
think
mental edge on
yeah,
her.
like
Yep.
there was like just like my
Very
older
scrappy.
brother.
Yeah.
And she's scrappy. Yeah, Dakota's and even today we have a video of you guys rolling and I'm watching her. She's just like she's got that energy.
Yep.
And
Goes for the kill.
Yeah.
she goes
wants to
for the
take you
kill
out.
when she shouldn't be in the kill. But it's fun. Do you remember that? Because I do. Again, it's not to talk funny about my brother. Like my brother still is one of the toughest humans I've ever met. You've rolled my brother.
Yeah,
he's
he's tough.
just tough.
Always-
dude.
always
He'll
good.
always be tough, and
Yep.
he's older, and But I remember when I was like, oh, I've exceeded him in skill level because of my consistent schedule of training and his lack of consistency on the jiu-jitsu mat. And I remember that moment of like, oh yeah, like this is working. Do you have a moment where you remember like with Dakota, be like, oh, like her like kind of roughing me up, it's not working anymore?
I think the moments where like I'll like roll with her and I'll like kind of go easy a little bit, and then she'll like catch me in something. I'm like, oh
shit.
okay, now I actually got to try to like escape this.
So I will say that is something I noticed was like Joey was saying, like, yeah, like you, it's funny to hear that she brought you in and then it seems like in the beginning you got a little bit more passionate about it than she was. But then I've noticed that, I don't know if that's the reason, but her passion for jiu-jitsu has definitely rose a lot more. And she's got,
because of her,
and
yeah.
and it's funny to hear for some people, if they brought somebody in and then they started to pass them up, they might just quit. It might be discouraging. And it's good to hear that she's
not giving up
stayed
on it.
headstrong and she's like,
and she's getting a lot better.
She's
and
really tough too.
yeah.
It'll be fun to see her compete for the first time too.
I don't think it'll ever
We'll
happen.
get her out there.
Yeah, we'll get her out
We'll
there.
convince
Yeah.
her. She's
down.
working towards her blue belt. She's really close.
Good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Good.
Yeah. So let's get into the first major story, which is like a perfect.
So we try to talk you into
So
competing.
we try to talk you.
Now,
So
why were you nervous about
Should we do the
competing?
speech? Can we just like pretend like we're doing the speech again that we gave her?
Yeah.
Okay. So like.
Well, so you come up, you show us. Yeah. So Tayla was really nervous about getting injured, and she kept showing us.
No, I think it was just a normal speech. Like imagine, okay, Kyle,
Yep.
this is you're brand new at jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
And we're like, hey, I think there's a tournament coming up. I really want you to do it. I think one of the first things we said was, it's very rare that people get hurt.
Yes. Yes.
I think that was like the idea. It was like, it's a live match. It's just like being on the mat. It's no
Yep.
different. You're not gonna get hurt.
And I just remember like a week or two before, Tayla kept coming to us and showing us she found like the most devastating Kimura injuries she could find online.
Bone breaking
And she kept like
injury.
showing us.
She's like, will this happen?
And we were like, no, that's not gonna happen to you, Taylor. That's crazy, you know.
it's
And,
like,
and
that
they
will
were
never
just
happen.
devastating spiral fractures to people's humeruses, and we're like, Taylor, that girl's not tapping. You're gonna be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. No,
So Taylor goes out and competes, and
I mean, the story. When you did your first competition,
Yeah.
I would say you're very green. So it was like a couple months. What did we say? Like 6 months in? I don't even know. We could look at the.
It was like 9 months. I would
Really?
say.
Okay. But definitely you weren't training like we.
No.
And I would say that actually, a lot of things changed for me as a coach during this experience. And I mean that like in all seriousness, even how I trained our students. This was the origins of the competition class.
Yeah.
Was this moment. So we didn't have any competition classes.
No.
All we did was we just did a very good curriculum, and we had some open mats, and we had just open training.
Yeah, you'd mainly just done like positional drilling.
She's just done
right?
some positional drilling and just like some live training,
Yep.
open training, not the comp class that we do. So keep that in mind. So like that's what I mean. You're pretty green. So she does the competition and she does really well. The gi matches.
In the gi.
In the gi, she was much more comfortable. I don't think you won a match though in the gi.
No.
You lost every match in the gi.
Yeah.
Which that's perfectly expected.
First time out there. Yep.
But great, everything went well. Fun matches. I think you had fun,
remember,
right?
After the gi matches, I was like, okay, we
You're
got
like, I'm
Yogi
in.
up next. I'm so excited. I'm ready. I was like, this is. I think I was only one other girl in the division, so it was just gonna be like her and I going back and forth for like
Time
3
for my
days.
comeback story.
Yeah. She's like,
I was so ready.
Here
I
we
was
go.
she's like, I like
jumping.
nogi. I do nogi more. I remember that.
I was so ready, and then I think it was only like 8 seconds, maybe 12 seconds.
What happened? You can
So
say it.
We get on the mat, and we're doing our thing. We're doing stand up.
Which, by the way, I'll have to say this. Tayla, your background is what? Cheerleading?
yeah,
Like that's your only athletic. Like you didn't do
Yeah.
softball or
No.
So
I was
she's a cheerleader by trade, not a
team
wrestler.
sport,
Yeah.
yeah.
You never
team
wrestled in your
sport,
life?
Yeah, never been in a competition where it was just myself out there and like everyone's watching you, and it was just so different that whole day.
Nice.
I'm like, okay, it's fine. We're good.
But a very important distinction is you never wrestled in your life.
Yeah.
No, never wrestled.
But you like to wrestle. I could tell. Like even when she had no experience, she was just out there trying to wrestle.
Scrapping.
So this is what you said. 8
Yep.
seconds. Continue the story. What happened?
So
You're on your feet.
I don't even know how this happened, but I think I had like an overhook, and then I like reached for her leg, and then she just tackled me, and I stuck my arm out right behind me, and I watched my arm go the other way. My elbow just popped out, and I remember being like, wait,
Yeah.
because like,
Wait, there's a noise. Wait.
yeah,
That's the elbow. That's the sound the elbow made.
that's what happens when you don't wrestle.
Yeah, I mean it's wild. It was such a I mean,
It was bad.
rare.
Yeah.
Such a rare thing. It happens. I've seen it happen to other people. I've had my elbow get hyperextended in something kind of similar but totally different. But like, so it does happen, but it's such a rare thing. And to watch it,
I mean,
it was
just yeah, right. And too, like almost not in the exact same way that you were showing us videos, but like, you know, you were showing us Kimuras and then it was your elbow. And it was
Yeah.
just like, man, like life is weird the way it happens sometimes, you know?
Yeah,
So
I
yeah.
put it in the universe.
Okay. So you're on okay.
well,
so
let me say this about it because so this happened. So, you know, obviously I'm very close with your family too,
Yes.
with Dakota, and your parents were there. Your dad was there
Yeah,
to come
so
watch
I'm like
her.
laying on the ground,
So-
my arm's going the wrong way.
And Tayla's already, in my opinion, like a really great student. So like, I would say everyone's valuable at a school, but it's like there is a level of like she's, you know, we already established there's very few female in the school already in general, in jiu-jitsu in general. So I'm watching this and boom, I see this injury and I look at it and I just remember just thinking like, what? This is not real. Like it's a surreal feel, very surreal. And you know, whether it's your own injury or it's just that weird surreal feeling.
Yep.
And I look at her and, you know, you were completely green.
yeah,
So she's laying there, she's looking, and her eyes are all big, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, it's okay, take a deep breath, relax. I'm on the mat, you know, talking to her. She's like,
I look over and like my dad and my mom are
They're all
standing
like-
at the end of the mat.
yeah.
My dad's like, "You're fine."
Yeah,
You're
your
just
dad's like,
gonna
wrap it up, you'll be all right.
We're gonna get you in
My
this
mom's
match.
like looking for like the medic or
Yeah.
whatever.
So
I'm like,
this was
"Oh
a
my gosh."
messy exchange. And it really legitimately made me rethink everything. There was a moment not long after, I was like, we'll never do tournaments again. I'm never going to just, too risky, too dangerous.
I remember one of the moments you told me that the paramedic lady was looking down at her arm and then just looked back up at you and was just like, I can't handle this.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to touch this. I was like, it's kind of your job.
That's not
I was
good.
like, and like, you know, I was pretty confident that there was no bone break. I like watching it, but you never know. So
Yeah,
the
I'm-
last year, like she did the right thing is not you, because she could have legitimately we could have just pulled your arm and it would have
Popped it back in.
it back in.
Yep.
But you don't know.
But
so,
if you
Glad
do
they
it the
didn't
wrong
do
way, you
that.
could
I
break
mean,
it too.
if there was a bone break, so it ended well, which resulted in a ambulance ride.
Yeah, very hefty bill. I
Hefty
guess.
bill.
Yeah. Full. Yeah. So
Went
I
to
mean, yeah.
ambulance.
Just to conclude, so you had a full dislocation of your elbow, which you didn't
Yeah,
break
so
anything,
they
right?
dislocated. There was a little like minor chip in the bone, but
Okay.
she wasn't worried about that. The
Nah, no worries.
not the actual like emergency room,
It's-
but like my actual doctor was.
It's nice.
It's very funny to think that's almost the exact same. I mean, not the exact, but like the exact same thing that happened with my toe. Like one of the most gruesome.
Have we talked about your toe yet?
We brought up on the first one, I
you
think
sure?
a little bit. Yeah, my big toe broke
Well, for
off
those who
once
don't
while I
know,
was training.
this is very easy to explain. His toe fell off.
Yeah, and I mean it's one of the most gruesome looking things I've ever had happen to me. But the way the doctor described it, he was just like, your toe just dislocated at the joint and ripped off. So he just put it back on. And like he was like, your bone didn't break. It was like a really quick, easy surgery. So
kind of like a lizard's tail.
yeah. Well, I mean, too. I mean,
Just comes right back.
If you ever see this, we'll try to put up the clip of it happening to Tayla. If you see this clip of her arm,
Yeah,
you
we're
would
gonna put
think
this
it would
clip.
be just a devastating injury, and it looked bad, but really not that bad. Probably hurt.
Popped it in,
Yep.
gave her some morphine, and
Yep, drugged her up, and she was
drugged
good,
her up,
ready
popped
to
her
go.
in. She was training the next day. Well, maybe not.
Yeah, how
So-
long? How long
let's
were you
do
out
the-
for?
Yeah, wait. So tell me. So the story of it happens
Yes.
in your head. You're telling me, how did you feel? Did you were like, oh, I'm never gonna do that again?
No, I wasn't like that.
I
was
feel like
more
I remember you
need to-
instantly being like, I got to do this again to
Yeah.
like, almost like what's the word, like avenge?
Yeah,
or
I'm,
like
I'm not going out
myself.
that way.
redeem,
Yep.
Yeah.
redemption.
Yeah.
Yes, and I remember that like feeling, and I got so relieved because like I said, I legitimately thought maybe we should never do just people who are very hardcore, you could do competition, but I'm not going to let someone new come in.
I think it was the first time you brought a team, so I could see that being.
It was our first time. Yeah, we did a couple little ones, but people who already competed.
Yeah.
So this was our first time bringing someone new into the game.
Yeah.
And this was the experience. And but what it did, instead of it being, obviously that's the negative view of things, to be like, it's bad, pull it out, which that is one way to see it. Like, if you want to prevent stuff like that from happening, one way to do it is just never show up again.
Or it went bad and we're going to fix it.
Yeah, we fixed it. And what we did is I completely revamped everything in terms of how we train newer people who want to compete versus people who already compete. Those people know how to train. Like honestly, you can come into an environment where the situation maybe isn't organized for competition, but they can figure it out. They go run on their own. They get in shape on their own, and then they come and learn stuff.
Yeah.
But for someone brand new, like we now, ever since that moment, that was a long time ago now. Do you remember when?
It was January
2022?
2022, yeah.
So yeah. So I mean it's been a long
year and a half almost,
but since that time, we completely revamped our competition team. We started comp practices, and we really even practiced the idea of like competing.
Even just the normal classes you're doing now. You do all the hand fighting stuff before,
which is all based on that.
Yep.
I realized like, man, like I take for granted, and I'm sure anyone who teaches, I actually was talking about, who was I talking to this today about? I don't remember, but I said, a lot of, I think it was Paxton we were talking about, good teachers or good competitors usually aren't the best teachers because it's hard for them to relate to someone new. Mm-hmm. Like I take for granted, I wrestled as a kid. I take for granted the ability to just like keep yourself safe. You know what I mean? Like when I'm on my feet, like a good wrestler, a better wrestler than me, I'm good enough at wrestling that like if I get taken down, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I take that for granted, and like you never wrestled in your life, and for some reason I was like, go out there, go wrestle.
Scrap
but
it up.
we never taught you enough wrestling to even keep yourself safe. And
I was
now there's
training for a long time though. I felt like I was training a while.
Yeah, but I think also too. I mean,
it's the type of training that matters. Like you could train for 10 years, but if I never and this would it's not to knock other schools, but there are schools who do zero stand-up work. And since then, and we already did, but I kept it very technical, and we weren't training. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, we dedicate every single practice to some hand fighting concepts, and I feel like your wrestling is really good, like legit. And I watched you wrestle at ADCC. She did the competition against bigger girls. You went up in weight, the heavier weight, and you wrestled with girls who were definitely physically more imposing, and you were holding your own when it came to wrestling. You took girls down. I mean, how cool is that? Someone who never wrestled, a cheerleader.
So what was that?
You were taking people down. It was amazing.
So what was that experience like for you? To think about the probably a year and a half, maybe.
And it
maybe
wasn't
just
ADCC.
A year.
It was your first. Do you remember your first tournament after? So why don't we do rehab? What was the rehab like?
I think it was like almost 2 months of like just like physical therapy, and then I like try to like compile a video of me moving my arm, my range of motion. Because before I could only move it like maybe like 2 centimeters up, and then I was like, okay, now I can start moving it.
That's really cool.
But I would be like sitting at work and like in between patients, and I'm just like moving my arm.
She's like Rocky.
I'm coming back.
I remember like coming to practice and just like sitting with the sling on, like, okay, I need to get back on there.
That's how we know you're hooked.
Myself.
Yeah.
People come to practice injured just to watch.
I will say, we've all been. I've been there.
Yep.
I've had neck injuries where I still am on the mat just because I don't want to lose.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose the energy of it. But I can't physically do it yet. And you've been there.
Yeah.
Kyle, so go back to Kyle's toe, which we could do another episode of your toe.
Yeah.
But you remember? I don't think you told the podcast about how you used to tape your feet.
Yeah.
So after the injuries, this is crazy.
Okay. So my toe.
Because I used to make fun of him.
Yeah. So my big toe broke off, and I went right to the hospital that night and got my toe put back on. And the doctor.
Can you say that again?
Well, the funny thing too about it is the way the doctor described it to me. And I'll give a verbal description, but also show you is he said my he called the buttonhole fracture. So my toe dislocated off, but then it slid past the bone. So he said to put it back on, they had to like re-skewer my toe onto the bone. And he said that's the only reason they had to do surgery on it, right? So I got surgery that night, and I think I took like 2 or 3 weeks off, and I just started training with wrestling shoes. And at the time, I had really bad cauliflower ear, so everyone thought there was something really wrong with me because I'd always have like wrestling shoes on and
who's this new
headgear.
wrestler?
And I'm kind of a weird person anyway, so yeah, everyone thought I was kind of a goofball. And then
You had a
after
bicycle
I stopped,
helmet on too.
my soft little helmet on. But so then after wearing wrestling shoes, my toe separated from my other toes. That's what broke it off. So I would tape my big toe to my middle toe, and then 3 toes together, and then 4 toes together, and then all 5 of my toes together in a big. And then I slowly
The process was so long.
Yeah.
I remember watching you like get ready.
And I remember
30
Joey,
minutes before class.
I remember like after like 3-4 months of doing that, Joey was like, how long are you going to keep doing that? And I was like, dude, my toe broke off.
And I was like, yeah, go do your thing.
Very true.
He'd have one wrestling shoe on for a little bit. Remember that?
But then now, honestly, the funny thing is like, I know which foot it is, but it would almost take me a second to notice which one it was.
Wow.
Like if you wiped my brain of it, I couldn't tell which toe it is. You know?
Do you feel that way, Tayla?
Do you feel with your elbow? Do you have any residual?
Or do you don't think
know.
about it? Oh, you know.
I know which arm it was.
Yeah, but you feel it.
Can you
is what I
tell?
mean.
Like when you use it, do you feel it? Does it feel different?
Sometimes
Let's
it
say you're
needs to
doing
pop
like a
little
push
bit.
up. You feel a difference between left arm, right arm.
My left arm's definitely weaker from it, but I feel like I've gotten it back a little bit. But I'll definitely need like a pop or something to get it back in.
I think I popped your elbow just drilling with you, or not drilling, demoing with you.
Yeah.
And I hear it, I'm like, oh. And she's
But
like,
it
it's
feels
good. She's like, that
good.
felt good.
Yeah, it feels good when they pop. I don't know if that's
Gotta get some
I don't know if
looseness
that's
in
good
there.
or bad
No.
for the joints, but it feels
Yeah.
good.
So recovery wise, so then you do your rehab, and then you start training
Rehab.
again. And I remember like the excitement. So I'll say again, like I was legitimately depressed. It was the worst experience I've ever had as a coach, even as like just jiu-jitsu in general. One of the worst experiences of my life to see someone who.
Why'd you do that to him?
I didn't mean to. I really didn't.
No, it legitimately was just like so terrifying. It made me.
I
feel
remember.
terrible.
Yeah.
I was
You were
depressed.
upset,
I
man.
was upset.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously, things happen. It's it's not anyone's fault. That girl didn't do anything wrong either.
No.
It's just things happen, mistakes happen. But it was like,
But if we ever find you,
we know her, we know her. But when you came back, so and even you just saying like, oh, I want to do this, I want to try this again, made me feel a lot better. But it still remains to be seen, right? As you're doing rehab, the likelihood of you not coming back was way higher than you coming back, like without a doubt. There's people who stop training because of like their finger got a little bent.
yeah,
Like
my shoulder hurts.
I don't know who's listening who probably did that, and they're maybe like, but I'm guaranteed there's way less than their arm just snapping in half that results in them quitting jiu-jitsu forever. So I was already concerned about you coming back. So then when you start training again, mentality wise, you're like you were taking it light. I remember you just doing some technique. How long until you competed again? Do you remember the date?
November. So I got injured in January, and like rehab and everything was like, let's just say 8 weeks, and then
It's like 11
competed
months.
in November.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty crazy to think about. I mean, that's not a long time. It's not like 2 years later.
I was nervous, but
Were you nervous? Yeah. So like, what's the training process when you were training? Did you feel that things were different training wise?
We came up with a really good guard pulling strategy.
Yeah, we did. We really did.
We did.
sat
Remember
down.
that? We
Yeah,
practiced
we
that a lot.
all-
We're
we
like,
all
grab the hand,
And
sit
it
down.
worked.
Yep. Yeah.
And it worked.
Worked really good.
And she
Yeah.
did.
I
Yeah.
ended up winning my first match.
Yep.
Yeah. So we, the second tournament you did, your comeback tournament, we'll call it the comeback. She ended up taking. Comeback. She ended up taking first place. Give me another clap. Hey.
Champion.
So she went from getting her arm broke. She went,
the clap's a little long.
Quiet.
Come on, crowd. All right.
calm down, everyone. Anna's cheering. Jay, calm down. She went from getting hurt, and you won no matches your first tournament,
No.
right? And to take first place. I mean, that's a really cool story.
It seems like the path then, her and Kenny, right?
Yeah,
You
I think that's just in general.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that today. We'll talk about the tournament this week when we get into kind of what's going on, but it's just that's the process. You have to not be good. Like your tournament setting, like you shouldn't just go in. Anyone who goes in their first tournament just destroys everyone. They usually don't stick around either because they want to. You want to experience some like struggle.
Yep.
I think it ingrains the joy of jiu-jitsu more into you?
I remember I only did one tournament as a white belt, and I remember I won my first 2 matches, and then I remember I weighed in. The weight class was under 180, and I weighed in at 177 with like jeans on.
You're heavy.
Yeah, I played football, boy. I was a big boy. We were lifting weights. And I remember I won my first 2 matches, and I went there for my 3rd match, and it was someone who knew about cutting weight. And I remember just like looking up at this guy like, oh, man, this is not going to go good. And, like,
You lost?
Yeah, he triangled me.
Nice.
yeah, so.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's good to have. I think, so you take first place at this tournament, your comeback. Did you feel like that sense of relief or like the redemption that we were talking about? Like you redeemed yourself?
Yeah, I kind of just felt like I needed to compete again. So I never felt like I wasn't going to ever compete again. It was just something I needed to do. But,
So more than redemption, it kind of just felt like
this is
that's
normal.
the way it should have went.
yeah.
Like,
okay,
okay, now I did it.
That's actually way better to think of it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it felt very special. I think everyone from the school was excited about it. I mean, we were all like super happy.
Yeah. Now was that tournament at white belt or at blue belt?
That was
Still white belt.
yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that was part of the process for kind of like.
Now I'm putting together which tournament. Yeah, that's the one where you arm triangle that girl right at the end.
Yeah, it was. It was
energy
actually
at that tournament was really crazy.
That's actually a really great match. So maybe we post the match too.
Yeah.
Because the story of the match was that girl was tough. She was like just really, really squirrely.
Yeah.
She's a squirrely tough girl, and it was a really tough finals match. And you were down. She was losing. So I again, like I said, and I'll say it more times. Like I don't care about winning and losing, but I can feel when someone quits. I can feel when someone like pushes through a barrier, and like just to see your heart. And it obviously, even just you coming back, if you would have then lost that match, everyone would have been so happy for you. But like, man, like it was, you were losing. She was down by a lot.
You and me were hyped.
Oh
we were
my
screaming.
God.
Yeah.
And me and Kyle, we get really, really into stuff.
Yep.
Like when we're watching, like I feel it. Like yesterday at the tournament, man, there were some moments where I'm just like, oh, that was so fun.
I was screaming at someone, and April was filming one of the matches, and she turned to me and she goes like, "If you were coaching me like that, I'd be really pumped." And I'm like, "Yeah, I get into it a little bit."
Into it, man. When Adrian, we'll talk about Adrian got a good slam yesterday.
We'll have to have him on the cast. Yeah, Adrian will be
was
good.
Awesome.
Yeah. Adrian will be good. They tried to screw the man twice.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
All right, but still on Tayla.
Still on Tayla.
Okay, so you do that tournament.
But I'll say too, it's like that was it made it even more special. Of course, winning, losing, you don't care. But like, man, you came back after a big injury, a tough match. It would be one thing if you just went in and just smashed everyone, but you had a tough match and you won. I felt it. I was like, oh, this feels right. It feels good. So yeah, I would say, and I've done this to you. I had this speech when you got your blue belt, but I gave you a thank you because without you, if you didn't, let's just say it would have been so easy for Tayla not to do it. If Tayla gets hurt, she's like, man, why am I doing this? Jiu-jitsu's stupid. I have a job. Why? And she didn't. Forever, that would have affected me. You know what I mean? Like selfishly about myself.
Yeah.
Like forever, I would be in my mind of like, oh man, like maybe this person we shouldn't. I don't want them to compete. Maybe like the whole school, everything about what we do would have been shifted. And the show goes on. Everything.
Even
keeps
if
going,
you didn't take it personally,
it's not personal, but it
you
just
would have
hurts.
kind of felt like I ruined jiu-jitsu for somebody.
Yes.
Not like I did, but the way I taught it to somebody ruined jiu-jitsu for somebody. That's something we never want to do.
If I think deep, I'm sure there are things like that in my life, and I do have regrets about how things went for certain people. Just the reality of it. But this would have been a big one. It would have really hurt. And the fact that you took the hard route of coming back through rehab, through training, and even then pushing yourself in the tournament, which is the reality is competitors, people who spend their whole life doing competitions, they still falter and quit when they're losing or, quit when the match is hard. So you still had that like mental drive that I'm not going to give up because you know what it means to other people too. Mm-hmm. So thank you. I said that to you when you got your blue belt. It was like, thank you for not giving up because it really affects everyone.
Yeah. Well, I think like the whole motivation of everybody too, like they saw it happen and like, my family was there, my friends, like things like that. Like it wouldn't be right to like give up on that, like in the atmosphere there. So. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I get emotional thinking about it.
Yeah,
I really do.
That was a funny thing. Like, you saying not giving up on the people who are like there for you. Like yesterday, it's just like, me and Joey had a tremendous amount of matches to coach. I mean, we didn't literally from 9 a.m. till 4. We did not stop coaching matches. No lull in it at all. And
multiple time, like multiple people at the same time, were like running back and forth.
And we're both on the docket to compete. And I remember like it was like I was scheduled to go at like 4, and then it got moved up to like 2, and then it was like 11, and I still hadn't weighed in, and I'm running around coach people, and my brain was kind of like, I think I'm just gonna coach. Like I don't know if, but then like there were just so many other students and stuff there, and my brain went like, I know they not like I'm like, but they look up to me as their coach. They want to see me compete. How could I just not do that? You know that's also there's people that
it's like there's a healthy level of like pressure. I don't know if pressure is the right word, but
I think it's a good
healthy level of like responsibility for other people.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and that was
it's not like peer pressure. Obviously, like you can't be like, hey, you got to do a term. No, I don't care. Like if I don't want to, but like I feel responsible.
Yes.
Because I want to motivate you as much as I motivated myself.
Yeah, one of the girl students said to me just like, "Oh, you did so good. Like, we expected you to win." And I looked at her and went like, "That's why it's really hard. Because like I know you guys expect me to win. That makes it even harder."
Everyone thinks we're gonna just go out there and smash people. But every match is tough.
The guys are good, man. Yeah,
every match. And we'll talk about your matches. I want to definitely talk about that later.
So you did a few more tournaments. The thing I'm kind of curious about is the big step up between doing the original tournament where you got hurt and then doing this last ADCC tournament, which I mean,
as a blue belt.
Yeah, as a blue belt in a pretty tough division, getting moved up a weight class, multiple matches against really good people. What was like the difference kind of in feel for you? Maybe going into it, preparing, all that type of stuff.
I think we did a lot of good preparation for it, and like helped that the whole team was going too. So it was kind of like everyone's like there for each other, and we're all like preparing for this one match where like my first one, it was kind of like it was not the same feel at all. It was just like, okay, we're gonna go and do what we do on Sundays, and just different. But no, they were really tough. The girls were really tough, and I tend to get tunnel vision a lot when I'm competing, and like get in my head, and I'm like, okay, I'll just do this, and then I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Like, this isn't working, and I should just go back to what I feel is right. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but
no, I know exactly what you're saying. I used to tell people all the time when I played football, I would have a real hard problem. If I was on offense, I would like block the person I'm blocking, but I only do it for like 2 or 3 seconds. And I would just kind of like watch the play happen because I like football so much. It's like I have a job to be doing, you know. And
yeah. So the ADCC Open was really tough. The girls were really tough. My first match was not how I expected it to go. I know we were working on a lot of leg stuff beforehand and getting comfortable with leg entanglements and everything. And I was so fixated on like heel hooking somebody.
You almost invented a new toe hold.
Yeah, it was wild.
Oh,
the Tayla toe hold.
The Tayla toe hold, man.
Tayla's toes or something. I don't know. Tayla's toe hold.
Yep.
That's a good move.
I like it.
Didn't work.
It didn't work.
We'll have to work on that one.
Yeah.
But she won her first match.
She won her first match.
Yeah, I won my first one, and then second match ended really quickly. Just some mistake.
You had an awesome takedown. I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good. Good beginning, and then I was going to pass her guard and totally gave her my neck. And then, I don't know, watching the video and like feeling it, there's like 2 different things, because you could see like, oh, she doesn't even have her leg around me. You know, I could have probably done this and this and this.
Well, but that's when we were rolling today. That's what we're practicing, right? You're rolling out of the guillotine, and you could tell for you that wasn't an immediate natural reaction. No. So something still that we can just add in, and you know.
And the more you did it, the better you got. By the end of even that last round, you started to work on that.
Is this gonna work this time?
Yep. and that's our thing, right? Confidence in moves is a big.
Yeah. Which at the end of the day, that's what competing is for moments like that.
Yeah.
You'll never ever, and if you do, it just shows that you're not training well. But you're never going to get caught in the same way.
Yeah.
Not the exact same way.
And I mean,
if you are, it's more a problem with if you have a coach, the coach is not doing their job.
I do have to say that was really cool for me too. So the ADCC Open was the first time they actually did a 2-day tournament. So they did all the normal divisions. I don't know what to call them, like the regular age groups. The first day,
adults,
and then they did
these regular folks.
I don't know what to say.
And then the aliens,
and
on
then they
Sunday.
did children in the Masters division on Sunday. So we were all there for both days. And the second day, we didn't have to compete. We were more just coaching and filming stuff. And the most common thing I heard from Tayla all day was just like, "Oh, I wish I had more matches. I want to get back out there." Like she was so
amped,
motivated to compete again, which is a really cool thing to see. It wasn't.
Yeah, I love that. I love when people struggle and then see it as like, okay, I'm motivated.
Yeah.
Versus it being like, oh man, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to fail.
Devastating.
Yeah,
and-
it's like failure is not the problem.
Yep.
It's now what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
And you do a good job of that. Obviously when you hurt your arm
Crazy.
and come back, yeah, it was awesome.
Good.
So yeah, ADCC was a good experience.
Yeah, it was really cool. I liked the rule set. I liked everything. I liked that.
Look at your hoodie.
Oh,
She's got an ADCC hoodie. Look at that
100%.
hoodie. Get a video of that. Look at that. That's a nice hoodie.
Shout out, sponsor the podcast, ADCC.
Sponsor us, Mo.
Pay for us to get in every open.
Please.
Thank you.
that would be nice.
That'd be a good sponsorship.
Speaking
right
about the
there.
future, is this happening? Are you going to
Florida?
Orlando?
I think I'm gonna go to Orlando. Yes.
Nice. You think or you are?
I think I have to sign up.
We call this podcast pressure.
Yeah, a healthy level of pressure.
Yep.
No, I think I think it would be really great.
Yeah.
So the opens are, for those who don't know, the opens are just, they happen every month. There's a bunch of different opens, and obviously it came to Chicago. No excuse not to do that.
Yeah.
But to travel to go do the opens, there's two good things. Obviously, number one, you get to practice the rule set more, and gets you excited about it coming back home. Or if you want to go into the future and think about how you can make a real living with jiu-jitsu, I mean, it changes your life. We have the trials next week.
Yeah.
If you win the trials, I mean, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And in your divisions, legitimately, it's a realistic expectation, not an expectation that you're going to win, but it's a realistic goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's attainable goal is
To
what
do
I'm
well,
saying.
yeah.
So, the goal or the opens will allow you to practice that. But then also it's the experience of being like an athlete where you actually get to travel and go. I mean, it's a really cool experience.
Yeah.
That, as you get older, the reality is, like, if you're not on a professional team of some type, you're not going to travel to go do competitions. So I think it's just, it's the most fun. We talk
enjoy
about too
it
much.
the greatest time.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
just have
I mean,
fun.
it's so
My
much
favorite
fun.
thing is the restaurants. When you travel, we
Yeah.
go find food.
We go cut weight and have a
We
spa
go to,
day.
we go to Lifetime
Get
Fitness and we
massages
get a
and-
massage.
Yeah,
It's
sit in
fun.
the hot tub.
So, it's like, it's like a little vacation. So if you love jiu-jitsu, you can blend a vacation with your jiu-jitsu. You go take a trip, a weekend trip, and you make it a long weekend. So who else? I think Sergio's coming with.
Sergio's gonna come. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Sergio's helping us plan. He's smart. He's like, he's already got like marked down how much money it will be for the
he's got
flight.
all the numbers figured out.
Nice.
Like me and Kyle, we
we just wing it.
we
baby.
like forget to
Yeah.
get the hotel.
Yeah, we'll turn to each
Last
other.
time Kyle forgot to get us the right nights. You remember this?
Oh man, yeah. So
We get to the desk and they're like,
we
you
went
don't
to
have
this-
a hotel
Yeah,
tonight.
we went to Chicago, and the guy goes checking in for one night, and I go, sir, I think we need 2 nights, and he's like, it's the Taste of Chicago and the Chicago Bears tomorrow. Like, I don't think
You
you'll
didn't get a
room.
hotel.
Yeah, but they hooked us up.
Yeah, it worked out well. And that's the good thing. And I think me and Kyle will both agree.
Had to hit him with some charm.
Yeah, look at that dog face charm. But everything works out.
Yep.
It has at
Yep.
least. But it'll help to have Sergio plan it
Yeah,
out.
actually plan it out.
So I can't recommend it enough. I hope you do.
Yeah, I did take off work already. So
Then you got to.
You're in.
I mean, you're not just gonna not go to work.
So I think we should do some tournament recap from
Yeah.
this weekend.
Talk about the future a little bit more.
I think before that we should take a little bathroom break.
Can you go to the bathroom?
But I think before we do that, I would like to hear, Tayla, what would you just say to females who want to get into jiu-jitsu? What would be your spiel, your speech, your rant?
Yeah, you
My
have a
elevator
moment. You have a
pitch.
moment to any woman thinking about doing jiu-jitsu. What would be your selling point?
okay. Right now?
Yep. 3, 2, 1, go.
My selling point. So I don't know. There's just something about this sounds so bad, but there's something about being able to choke somebody or like being put into like a dominant position where, this person can't, and even if it's a self-defense context or anything, but this person is stuck and it's because of you and your power. And I think that's very empowering and very self-confidence building. And I mean, once you get on the mat, once you start doing it over and over again, it's so addicting just to keep it going, keep it rolling.
Oh.
Keep it rolling.
Hit the button.
So what I just heard from you that was very interesting, and I never thought about it this way, is just as a female, or like you said, Joy is just like a smaller person, but you wrestled, so you got to it was probably an experience never in your life that you did this, that you actually got to physically dominate somebody.
Yeah, no.
I mean, even the terminology is called manhandling.
Yeah, right? I mean,
So think about that.
Yeah.
There's no woman handling.
Yeah, I mean,
Like the term is manhandled.
Yeah.
Right? And, so think about that. That's how, but I mean, you get to do that on a regular basis, and she does well.
I never thought about that though, about how, I mean, I just, but how empowering it has to be to have never, held someone down, and then just to be like,
level of control.
They're not getting up,
And again, I use the definition of jiu-jitsu as like, it's the art of controlling someone leading to a submission.
Yeah.
And you even said like to choke someone. You know what I mean? So like you can't separate those though. Then I'm glad that you mentioned the idea of like control.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what jiu-jitsu is. It's not just about like grabbing someone trying to, just beat them up. You are systematically controlling them, leading towards a submission.
Yeah.
And making sure yourself is safe in the process.
Yeah. And that's the art of that, and the science of that is what allows someone smaller, less physically impressive in terms of strength. That's what allows you to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a good selling point.
Yep. I remember telling
Ladies.
people all the time,
Ladies.
they,
Come on in.
they get all like, why can't I submit this person here? And I'm like, well,
didn't earn it.
They're just like clamming up and not fighting you. And it's if we're honest about it, jiu-jitsu is like a defensive art. And so like we can physically dominate someone, but if they're not like fighting back, it's what I'm saying? Like if someone just clams up into the fetal position, that's a hard person to submit. But like, why are you trying to submit? What's wrong with you? Why are you trying to submit the person in the fetal position?
You're doing your job.
Yeah.
You're controlling it.
Yep.
Yeah. I like it.
All right, let's take a little break, and then we'll do a tournament recap.
Welcome back, everybody, to Phil's Potent Peppers. Today I brought 2 peppers. They're jalapeno peppers from my garden. Last time, I think I kind of cheaped you guys out, and you guys didn't get to see the full reaction and the pain in my face. So we're going to eat them before. We can hear everything. We're getting to the placenta of the pepper right now. This is a really big pepper. I apologize. Okay, so this pepper's a jalapeno pepper. There's corking on the pepper. It's called corking when there's little veins. What the corking is when the inside placenta is getting like much bigger. The inside grows faster than the outside. A lot of people say that corking of the pepper makes it hotter and sweeter. We're going to find out because I brought another one that doesn't have fucking corking on it. This is pretty hot. So the shoe rating on a jalapeno, habanero is like 100,000 to 350,000 shoe, which is a Scoville heat unit. I didn't explain that last time. Jalapeno is probably like, I didn't honestly look it up. I think it's like 90,000, 70,000 shoe. Now we're going to try one without corking. I'll let you guys know what it's like. All right, hold on, sorry. Whew. All right, they're both pretty hot. The one with the corking, definitely. Oh man, my lips are on fire right now. The one with the corking, definitely hotter though. Phil's Potent Peppers, Prairie Dog Phil here. Thank you for joining episode 2 for Prairie Dog Phil. Oh god. All right, thanks guys. Later.
Okay, we're back. That was good. We need a little break. But now, okay, before we do our tournament recap, we got a bunch of...
do the questions first.
Yeah, we got a bunch of online questions for Tayla. So let's hit her with the Q&A.
We're going to do this every week. So whenever I know who the guest is going to be, I'm just going to ask for listeners or just people who train at our school to ask questions.
Rapid fire. Answer these quick.
No, take your time.
It's like a game show.
Yeah, we should do game show stuff. We'll come up with some ideas. But let's do this one. A couple of them we've already kind of talked about, but I want to make sure I do a good... We'll do a few. So first one, long-term jiu-jitsu goals in general.
Long-term jiu-jitsu goals.
Yeah.
Well, I like to have goals each year. So this year, my goal was to have 3 tournaments. So the ADCC in Florida will be my 3rd.
Nice.
Perfect.
So we're gonna
Gotta
go.
do it.
Gotta do it.
Long term, I don't have too many long term goals.
I would say a year is a
It's
good
just-
long-term goal. I
Yeah.
like that, like bite size. But
Yeah.
let's just say, in 5 years' time, is there anything that you want to accomplish?
Like personally, like with the
Yeah, even
jiu-jitsu?
outside of jiu-jitsu too, just goals in general.
You guys are putting a lot of pressure on me.
This is a
This is a
podcast
long
show.
time.
You are.
You're in it. You're in it now.
Take your time. There's no rush.
5 years from now,
Think
where
about
do
it.
I picture myself? Hopefully a purple belt, right?
Yes,
That's good.
5 years time.
Purple belt, maybe the women's program will get bigger. That would be a good goal.
Nice.
Yeah.
That brings us to the next question. I understand you are new to coaching.
Yes.
What has being a coach taught you so far? Which I'll say really quick. Tayla is like our head women's program teacher, and additionally, she's helped me teach the kids now for a while. And you're really good with the little kids. You help out with the little guys a lot. She helps run some warm ups, and so you've been teaching a little bit in terms of jiu-jitsu. But since we started the women's class, now you're really teaching, which is different. Kids, it's like warm ups and stuff, but
Hanging
now
out.
you're actually teaching jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, what has being a coach taught you so far?
It's definitely taught me how to try to explain what I'm thinking more. So trying to communicate better about, just grab this. Why? Because I do it. No,
Yeah.
like grab this so they can't make space for their neck to breathe or whatever it may be. We're working on. So definitely my communication, I feel like, has improved. And then, I don't know, what else has it taught me? It's taught me so much about like my own game and about how I can better improve myself. And I also feel like with the kids, particularly, like making sure I set like a standard for myself. Like I don't want to kind of come in sloppy or like, I mean, it's fun to goof around and everything, but when it's time to train, it's time to train, and trying to like set that for the kids and goof off with the kids when it's time to goof off, but also like, okay, we're ready to start practicing now. So just making sure there's that level of fun and getting stuff done.
I like that. Yeah, I think that's really important with the kids.
Yeah.
It's like, and you do a really good job with that. Because obviously with little kids, you got to make it fun.
It has to be
Yeah.
fun.
It has to be fun,
Yeah.
otherwise it won't work. But also being like, hey, time to train. Let's try this. Take them serious. But I like what you said too about the details or like being able to explain why.
Yeah.
Because I really believe in 2 things. Obviously, the idea of communication. There's no such thing as a good teacher who can't communicate well. It is the art of communication if you want to be a good teacher. And we talk about this a lot because I'm trying to, anyone who wants to teach, I really am passionate about how to help people teach. It's
Yeah.
like one of my favorite things. And yeah, communication is a big part of it.
Yeah.
But then as you do that, you start realizing that teaching is actually one of the best things for you. If you want to get good at jiu-jitsu, the more you teach, realistically, what I think of as someone getting good at jiu-jitsu is teaching yourself. Once you learn something, you got to reteach yourself.
Yeah.
But you can't be showing people any part of the details wrong
Yeah.
and then go and do it,
You'll
or
know.
like, yeah. And you have
it's
to do
very
the move.
evident
Yeah.
when it's wrong.
Yeah.
And everyone has experienced something like that. When I first started teaching, for sure, like teach something and like, then you're like, hold on 1 second. And it takes a little courage too, to be like, guys, bring it back in. Hold on. Let me fix this detail. I didn't mean it like that. Let's try this.
Yeah.
And when you first start, you got to be willing to do that. You can't be like, that's the way it is now. That's the new technique.
And you also can't be showing people a way to do something and then you go and do it wrong while you're training.
Yeah.
You'll know.
It reinforces it in your brain. Like, I just told this person for an hour and a half to do this grip and now I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with
Which
me?
circles back to the idea of being smaller. And as a woman, the reality is you won't get away with doing shit wrong.
Yeah.
There are certain people in the world get away with a lot of stuff. If you're a big, strong dude, you're like, yep. They'll put their arm in the wrong spot, technically, in my opinion, and then be like, no big deal. Because, you're 250 pounds and you're made of muscle. So, it's going to force you to be a better teacher. I really believe, that's the thing. It's small. Obviously, the population of women who train and then even the women who teach. But the women who teach are so good.
Yeah.
Any girl that teaches jiu-jitsu generally is so good because they've had to work through the ability to do something difficult with their limited size and strength. So I know your technique's going to be good. You're already a great teacher, by the way.
Thank you. It's
That was-
definitely not easy. It's definitely not
Teaching's
easy
hard?
teaching. Mm-mm.
Tell me, what's the difficulty with teaching?
I think that everyone's looking at you like to have the answers, and I know we talked about this obviously off the podcast, but to have people look at you like you know all the answers, and I'm still like very, very beginner at jiu-jitsu. Like I'm only a blue belt, but like it's okay not to have all of the answers, and I think that's like something I need to like be like okay with.
Yeah. It's okay to say I don't know, and then not. I mean, it's better to say that, and not like lie to somebody about like, this is just how you do it, or and then too, there's also this knowledge of being willing to know like, I know this to a certain level, but I think this other person knows it better than me, and then going to that person. So like me and Joey were
we
just
do this all the time.
we were just working on footlocks, and you know I know footlocks pretty well, but this guy Giuseppe had just been showing me some details on it. Giuseppe's been training with us a lot, so you know I immediately called him over to come show us some details, and it was such a better lab than it would have been.
And I have no problem doing that, even as a black belt. You know, I've been a black belt now for years. If I never fake it. I never just like come up with an answer that's doesn't even make sense, you know. And of course, as you get older in jiu-jitsu, as you get more experience, you get better at answering things in a way that like I didn't even know that, it just came out. But you know, so when you're a blue belt, it's hard to do that. So it's okay being like, let me think about that. Let me get back to you on that idea. Let's all try to figure this out together, and you know, we'll ask people, and we'll so. And I think it's good that you've already adopted that, because I think a lot of people get the power of a class and then they just become monsters. Like, and I mean this in the nicest way,
Do it
but
the way I
they're
said.
like, no, this is the way.
Yep.
You got to grab this way. And like, they have no reason to think that. And, you know, usually those people, they struggle being communicators, because anyone who, you know, even just talking to people, it's not good to just demand the way things go.
Yeah.
You know, like a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're gonna sit
Can
here.
you take your foot off the
Can you
table?
please
Yeah.
take your foot? The socks. I think she has holes in her socks. Let's see
Oh,
this
my
in the video.
goodness.
It's from my
Jiu-jitsu
dog.
is expensive.
Yeah.
Expensive, yes.
So
You have
expensive.
to-
The socks are falling apart.
Yep.
You can't replace them. No, just kidding.
It's a good investment though.
All right, I like that. Anything else about teaching? So in general, I would like to just keep talking about teaching a little bit, just for you know, kind of just a promotion of what we're doing too, because you know, it really is a big passion to me. I have a few passions, obviously jiu-jitsu in general, but then if I dissect some passions I have, number one, kids. I love kids. I've been teaching kids since I was 18. I started that when I was young, and the kids program, I just believe in the benefit of it. Another big one for us was the law enforcement perspective. So we do like a defensive tactics, trying to get as many police officers and even first responders, firemen to train.
They need it too. It's
They
very
need it.
important.
Yeah. So like that's a big passion for the school and for myself. And then women. So like, as we talk about, so few girls train, and I think so many could benefit from it.
Yeah.
My big goal with a women's only program is not to make it where it's like you're only by yourself. You guys have to stay together, not train with us. It's not like that. It's not a what's the word I would look for, Kyle? Like
It's not a separation. It's I think it's
segregation of it.
yeah. I think it's honestly what it is a it's just a different introduction. It's like hey,
Comfortability.
It's very much understanding that like we said, like most men have probably wrestled around a little bit before. We really understand that it's a little different, right? And so it's just
Some haven't, to be honest, but
yeah,
you know,
but then too, for at least them, they're usually around a group of men, so they feel a little more comfortable, I think, right? And so like to come into a class that's taught by another female, and you know, I think that's very important.
like
yeah,
a good goal, like a kind of a funny good goal would be like, imagine someday we have someone new, a new guy, and there's like all women, and he's like, oh man, like
yeah,
you know, like imagine that.
Yeah, that's
That would be amazing.
If the numbers reversed,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But
well, you know,
Plenty of women.
it'd be funny to. I mean, obviously, you don't want to like prank somebody, but it'd be really not. The
Like, this is
pranks are
jiu-jitsu.
awesome, but it would be funny to see someone's reaction if they came in their first day. it was all women. It was you know,
They're all getting beat
you or
up
me.
by the
Well,
girls.
and not even that, but just you or me out there running the class, and no reference to it. Just teach the class normal, and just see someone's reaction, so that we can then go like, that's how a girl feels when they come in and it's all dudes.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like,
Yeah.
and you go like, why is it different for them? Okay, you come into a class that's all girls. You're
Yeah.
gonna feel just a little
hard to
bit different,
explain.
you know.
Yeah, you feel out of place. So this is the whole point of the women's only.
Did you ever feel that in yoga? Did you ever go to some things? I
Yeah,
mean, I know
for
you're
sure.
you're a pretty comfortable guy, you know, but yeah.
and, you know, yeah, I guess. But for sure, you know, in the yoga community,
It tends to be more feminine,
it's
right?
the
Yeah.
exact opposite demographic.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
But
Yoga
it's,
people aren't tough, you know.
yeah, but but it's like exact.
He's about to hit me.
You know, no.
Namaste.
Namaste. But yeah, dude, I experienced that in a way of not even just male versus female, but just in general, like my own personality of
Okay.
like who I am. I'm way more laid back in certain elements, and you know, and I think maybe in jiu-jitsu you can kind of run it the opposite way. Some people are very like we're kind of informal and fun and like goofy, and I make jokes, and I while I'm teaching we're just having fun, and some people might so it's just kind of funny. I don't think it's only just female versus male in terms of like feeling comfortable, but I do believe that the women's only program can be that introduction. And then my goal with it would be for people to then branch out and train with everyone. And maybe they don't, and that's fine too, because then at least they got some of the benefit that we are prescribing for jiu-jitsu. Why we say jiu-jitsu is so
They
good.
got as much as they could take, you know, and that's just it's.
I don't think it's we talked about competing. Competing is certainly not for everyone. Even hard training is not for everyone. But I do believe jiu-jitsu is for everyone.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So do you have because obviously we said that when you started jiu-jitsu, your sister being your partner kind of made you feel comfortable. So you can even say for yourself, it kind of relates to that, right?
Yeah.
If you were to just start jiu-jitsu again, would you? Let's just say we had a decent size women's only class. Would you have started with that?
Yeah. I think that it's a good perspective to see women doing it with each other, and then like it's not weird when you do mesh with the guys. Like as long as you know what you're doing, and it's not like weird. And I'm not really sure why people think it's weird to roll with guys, other than like they're bigger than you and they can just throw you around. But I do know like specific like self-defense context like can be intimidating being with a guy, and like if any abuse or anything.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there's some trauma.
Yeah.
Definitely trauma-informed education.
Yeah.
That is hard for some people to recognize or like to relate to.
Yeah.
So, and that's certainly another good rationale to have a women's only
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
100%.
But it's something they could work through. I mean, it's like it could probably help a lot.
that's
like
the hope.
we have someone here, we've talked about a little bit who, I'd never really experienced it before, but it was someone who was the first person I was rolling with that I actually could like see what like a real PTSD was like. That I'd be rolling with him and I could just like kind of see it on his eyes a little bit, that he was kind of going somewhere else a little bit. But now that person, they've worked through it. They roll a lot and they'll do a lot of rounds and get themselves through it and stuff.
Yeah,
so it's like,
I can think of a few examples like
Yeah.
that for sure. And I think jiu-jitsu has that, and especially in a good environment.
yeah.
Jiu-jitsu has that. So like that's what you want. We don't want to like make people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And a good partner will do that. Will actually like hold your hand through this, literally like hold you in a kimura. Hold you in a kimura and like say like, okay, like, oh, calm down. It's okay. Not calm down, but it's okay. Let's work through it. We'll help you. So yeah, I mean, I think jiu-jitsu has that ability to really get people out of their shell that they've maybe formed over years of trauma and
their comfort zone they built. You can break your way out of it.
break our way through it in a good way.
Yep.
So that's good. Let's continue with this questions. We got some more. So we kind of talked about this, but we'll ask it again. What gave you the motivation to get back on the mat after your first competition?
It was just something I needed to do. I think for myself, I've never been in a sport where it's been like just me. I've always been a cheerleader, so it's always been a team. Yeah, there was like tumbling passes and everything, but even back then I was like, nothing's too serious. But after that first tournament, I was like, okay, I need to like prove to myself that I can do this and get back on there, and two, also like everybody saw it happen, so I needed it to, what would it say about me to like just stop not do it ever again, you know?
That's awesome. That's really
Great
cool to hear.
motivation.
I mean, a lot of people don't have that in them, you know, for themselves. It's really cool. Yeah.
I love it. All right, here's a funny one. Whenever I'm rolling at open mat, why does she always slide in and coach the other person?
I know who said this.
You do? Who said it?
Was it Bob?
Yeah, it's Bob. Shout out to Bob.
Shout out, Bob.
Yeah, what the heck? I'm just kidding.
Sometimes it's fun
You're-
just to mess with him.
You're just doing too good. You're just doing too good. She's
Yeah,
got-
you gotta root for the underdog.
The
in some
underdog.
situations.
I like that. That's funny. That is funny though, right?
I do have a little kid at my gym who every time
why aren't you helping
I start
me?
coaching the other kid, he goes, "Stop helping him!" He gets so mad at me. I'm like, "Chris,
It's kind of funny.
you're
Yeah.
winning, dude." Like,
And we're not like I coach. Sometimes I coach the same both people at the same time.
Yeah, I'm just
like,
coaching,
no,
man.
Okay,
Yeah.
now you do that. No, you
Watch
do
out
that.
for the underhook.
Yeah.
Get the underhook.
Overhook.
grab his wrist. Don't let him grab your wrist. Yeah.
Here's a good one. Why should women train? We kind of asked this, but I'd like to hear you say it again, and maybe, maybe this will spark something different in your head. Why should women train BJJ and martial arts in general?
Why should women train?
So I liked when you said, about the ability to control something, it's that feeling of control, and that ability
Yeah.
to protect yourself or whatever it might be. But is there anything else? Maybe, we've said a bunch of really great reasons why. But is there anything else in your head of maybe like why, from your own perspective? Could be even fitness related. It could be anything.
Yeah, fitness. Definitely never had a workout like this before, but I don't know. I think that training just gives you so much confidence, and I know I keep going back to that, but I've definitely had so much improvement in my confidence for from before I started to after. It's just so crazy, how much, confidence and
In everything else, just in general, like your
no, in
confidence?
everything, yeah.
That's
So
cool.
from training here, you'll get humbled so fast, getting put into situations.
Yep.
And, even getting caught in something. You're like,
So is that like a
come on.
problem solving confidence then? So let's say in your job,
Yeah.
does it make you handle a problem better? Because it's not as bad as being triangled and you have to work your way out.
I guess. I'm thinking more of what's the worst that can happen? You get your arm knocked out, you just go back into it.
Yeah.
You get fallen asleep a little bit, you go back up.
I think it's really cool to have moments too where when you start, the mountain does seem insurmountable. Someone has you mounted and you literally feel like it's impossible to get out. And then 3 months later and two techniques learned, you get out and you're like, wow, I figured out the impossible. And that happens a lot. That gets really motivating too.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that goes to this question. What life lessons have you taken out of BJJ?
Life lessons, yes.
Don't scoop the leg.
How do you break fall?
Yeah, how do you break fall? Don't
I mean,
stick
that
your arm out.
actually, to actually talk about that just a little bit, that is one of the most important lessons that I think anyone could take away. If I was to give every human being of every type, we're talking about actual physics, not just confidence and all that stuff, which is good, but an actual physical thing they can take away from jiu-jitsu is the ability to fall correctly.
Yeah.
We talk about a lot for first responders and stuff, and older you get.
Yep.
I mean, one of the things that I'm very confident is my ability to fall well.
Yep.
Like when I slip on ice, and I've slipped on ice, I've got some good videos of
Yep.
that. I mean, I've went flying, and I'm very confident in my ability to like my body. I don't have to think about it. Whereas other people who never, if you don't practice falling, they put their hand out, they break their arm. It happens a lot.
Yep.
I mean, and the older you get too, obviously, but. Yeah, that's a massive, and that's not about women.
Yeah.
That's for everyone. Is learn how to fall correctly.
Yeah.
Be comfortable falling. We have mats here to help you get used to that, and that way, when you do fall, when it really matters, and it will,
Yep.
at some point, everyone falls.
Yes.
How do you fall?
Well, and it reminds me of too, one of the guys that we learned Muay Thai from. I don't know if Chuck taught when you were back then, but one of the guys who I learned Muay Thai from, he would always say about checking kicks. He would say people would be like, that hurts to check the kick, and he's like, yeah, but it of course it hurts, but you're defending yourself. So same kind of thing. You're gonna
get a bump and
Yeah,
bruise by your fault, but trust me, it's better than hitting your head.
if you're
And,
falling on concrete, it's your elbows and stuff are gonna hurt, but it's gonna be way better than the
the alternative of your head smacking the ground and
Yep.
dying. I mean, legitimately, it doesn't take much.
Nope.
But yeah, so a little segue. We got a few others. Let's do these. I like this one. What is her pet peeve when rolling non-competitively? For example, neck cranks, pure coaching, etc.?
No, I like when my friends coach me.
Okay, nice. But coach against you, like Bob?
Like Bob. Yeah, I do like that, I think.
Do you have any pet peeves though, like rolling wise? I mean, it
Pet
could
peeves?
be, as a woman too, like, is there anything like that?
I think the only ick, I'll call it an ick, that I would get
I like
is,
that. Ick. It's better than pet peeve.
is and I feel bad, but when the guys are sweaty, it is gross. And you're
Damn
trying
it,
to
Phil.
sweep up, and that one drop of sweat goes right on your nose or something, and you're just like, ugh.
Yeah, I remember the couple of days on Sundays that I wore gi pants, and they just got
that's
so
gross,
like
yeah.
loaded with sweat. And then I went to roll with Tayla, and she just looked at me like, "We're not doing that." Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
like the
I
only
give you
ick.
credit for not being. Yeah, I mean, I get icked out too. I mean, it happens.
You have
But
to just-
I look at it, I'm like,
You turn your brain off for 2
legitimately,
hours.
and
then,
I
yeah.
love Jay, but there was a time when me and Jay were rolling really hard, and Jay is pretty sweaty. I'm sweaty too, man. But Jay's got this liquid to him that like it was just his arms were like just like number one, I couldn't even hold him, so I was like, but also it's just like in my mouth. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I gave him. We just walked. I stopped the match while we're going. Just got a towel. I'm like, just dry yourself.
I've had you do that before. You give me a
it's like,
towel,
just
towel off my head, and my hair's all
'cause
long.
It's in my face,
Yep.
man.
Yep.
Yeah,
That was a good ick.
That's the only ick.
I'm saying ick now. That's really good.
Yeah.
We kind of mentioned this, but I think it's a good question. Injury rehab, psychology of returning to competition after an injury.
Oh gosh, I get in my head so much, even now.
Do you have anything that helped you with like the psychology of it? Did you like read anything about it? Did you watch? I know you're a podcast listener, by the way.
I am a podcast listener.
I know she does like these little posts of her jogging with her dogs, and she's
Yes.
listening to podcasts. So hopefully she'll start listening to our podcast.
I do listen.
It'll fit in. Good.
I'm a fan.
Good.
What was the question?
The psychology
Oh,
of
psychology.
coming back after an injury. Was there anything that kind of helped you with that?
I think just being better prepared. I also think that realizing it's not like a huge deal competing. Like
Nice.
it's just you're having fun, you're learning things, and don't put too much pressure on yourself, because at the end of the day you're gonna get in your head and then you're gonna get hurt, and that's not worth it.
Do you
That's
ever
not
have,
worth the hospital bill.
do you ever have flashback moments of when you're getting taken down?
In the beginning,
Really?
when I was training, I was like afraid to
Just
do my
pull your arms into
stand-up.
your body and like yeah.
Yeah, I would just be afraid to like stand up
Okay.
to people. And then I think like some one-on-one sessions with like getting comfortable standing up and like learning how to trust the person you're going against, that they're not going to like totally take me down and
Yep.
slam me or anything like
Yep.
I'll
that.
say
Like,
when we did our stand-up module, you were like one of my main ukes, my partners, my demo partners. So you got a lot of really good. I feel like your level jumped a lot in those 8 weeks when we were focusing on a lot of stand-up work, and so I think it is just a matter. And that's when I took that away from the experience of her getting hurt. It's like everyone needs that, especially if you never wrestled in your life. You need that comfortability, and then confidence. It breeds you to be able to do it and not feel scared. And the more scared you are, more likely you are to get hurt.
Yeah.
Good. I like that. The psychology of it for sure. I think it's important for you to not take this stuff too seriously.
yeah, no. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I still get in my head about things, but you know,
Don't we all? Yeah.
yeah, it's good to write it down, write down your fears, and then
That's a good
leave
one.
it on the paper.
Well, write them down and realize that they're not that big a deal.
Yeah.
Nothing
Exactly.
you're afraid of is really,
Yeah.
No.
So we'll do one more question from Jay. We kind of brought it up, but how would you word it, Jay? I think it was like, how do you take the pressure of being the uke? Because so myself, when I'm teaching, obviously for those who don't do jiu-jitsu is done with another partner. So always there's what we think of as a demo partner. So if I'm teaching, there's someone who has to do the move with me while I'm talking and teaching. And it's a very difficult skill. It's an art form, to be honest. And I pride myself on being very good at it because I did it with Jeff for over 10 years, if not more. I did it for a long time. And I developed like the ability to do it. And, I had someone with me for a long time, Nolan, who was a great uke. He always knew where to be, but it took time. When he was younger, it wasn't that great, but then he got really good at it.
Yep.
So I was always, like, all right, I'll use him. It's like once you kind of, attach yourself to a partner, it helps. And you've become that for me for the most part, yourself and Jay. It's like super, super important to have as a teacher to have that. And now that you're a teacher too, you can think about that from the other point of view. But so I think Jay's question was like, do you get nervous?
Do I get nervous being the uke? No, I get more nervous when I mess up a little bit. Like, so if it's like my turn to do something and I do it wrong, I'm like, oh, come on. You just did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like to do it in a certain way. I don't think everyone does it the same way as a teacher, but I always then have the uke do the move as well while I talk. Like, so we switch roles, often.
But it's also good for as much as it's kind of could be. It's okay for you to mess up because it's also good for them to see Joey correct it then.
Yeah.
You know, because then that
It's all
detail,
beneficial.
and it's probably the detail that you missed is probably one of the ones that is a lot of people are gonna miss. That's why you missed it. So then it's good for that one to get hyper focused in on him, going, "Hey, maybe you missed this hook a little bit. Hey, twist your hand like this." You know, that can help a lot. Yeah. I always think of all the time though. There's this, I can't make memes, but it's from that movie Heavyweights with Ben Stiller.
I love it.
And
Great movie.
He's outside with the one big kid.
You ever see that movie, Taylor?
No, I've never seen it.
Taylor doesn't see very many movies. We
I
bring
do
up a
see
lot.
movies.
We've brought up a lot of movies. She's like, I never see that one.
So there's this scene,
Heavyweights, the great movie.
They're trying to film a commercial, and he's gonna ask the kid like, hey, so what do you think of camp here? And before he can
yells at him.
finish the phrase, the kid interrupts him and goes like, I love going to camp here. And so he keeps
like, let me finish the question.
Wait till I finish the question. And he's trying. So hey, how do you think camp's going? And he goes, wait till I finish the question. And I always think that's us being okay with Joey. He's like trying to be real nice to us, and we keep messing up. He's like, stop.
Well, the reality, that's only you though, Kyle. That's true. I'll be honest, and I wouldn't lie to you, Kyle. You're sometimes I get so frustrated with Kyle. I've had times where we're teaching something. Kyle he tries to predict too much, and he's like moving. I'm like, can you just stop moving for a second? I'm trying to teach. It's fun.
Awesome.
I love it. We have a good time though.
We do.
I remember one time I was teaching like a takedown thing, and you were just in an awkward position. I think I just had to like pick you up. I was like, come on, like 3 out of the way.
Slammed.
It was
good.
great. Yeah. But you do a great job. You're one of the best I can think of naturally because you listen, and that's all it takes. Again, it's just fun to point out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Marco.
Yeah. Oh, Marco's a good one.
Do you use him in the morning?
Yeah, I try every once in a while.
Because like 6 a.m., it's like it's a different crew.
Really?
Yeah, you're not there.
I would say my go-to is Doug.
Really?
Yeah, then I use Marco. Yeah.
Doug?
Yeah, I like using Dougie.
Shout out Doug.
Shout out Dougie.
How
yeah.
does that go? He's
It goes
stiff,
good. It goes Dougie's stiff, and Doug,
but he's been around.
he's
so
been around, so he knows
it
what
helps.
he's doing, and he works with me pretty good. But he also too Doug will have a little trouble rolling sometimes. Doug has trouble with some rolling positions, so sometimes he'll pick different people.
He'll
but-
get nauseous.
yeah, he'll get a little.
He's got
get that
vertigo.
Yeah.
No.
But with Marco is like, I love Marco. Marco's like a similar size. He's a smaller guy, so it helps because that does help too. And like in general, you'll notice if you go watch videos, there's a reason why most demo partners are smaller people. They move better, and like it's easier to move them. So when you're talking, if you need to make an adjustment, I don't want to use Doug.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe you can better.
You can push him around a little bit.
Yeah,
But
but Doug's heavy. It's like when I need to move a micro little adjustment, and he won't do it for me.
Yeah.
Marco, I can kind of move, right? But Marco, it's funny, and it's 6 a.m. So
Everyone's tired,
Yeah, he's
and-
tired.
Yeah.
But we had a couple of good ones, and it's good when everyone laughs. We're like, like I tell you this all the time. I do like quarter turns and stuff, and I say like, hey, put your head towards the garage. Right, like Marco, instead of moving his whole body, just goes like this. Turns his head to the garage, and it was like a stand-up comedian joke.
That's awesome.
And I was like, don't laugh at him. And like we turned, it was fun. But yeah, Marco will get a kick out of that. I know
He's a
Marco
funny guy.
listens to the show, so we'll do lots of Marco stories.
Marco's
'cause we
the
love
man.
him. We
Marco's
love
the
Marco.
man. I love rolling with him.
Yeah, he's great.
I mean, honestly, Marco, you got to shout out to Marco, is a big reason why the 6 a.m. class exploded the way it did.
Yeah, let's give him another 6 a.m. shout out.
Because he came up to me and was just like, hey, I can't come to any other classes. Would you roll with me afterwards?
Yeah.
And so, and then more people started rolling. And
he changed the dynamic of the 6 a.m. class. He started making it like more of an actual training session, whereas before it was just me and Doug, and Thunderfoot, Bob if you don't know who that is. Thunderfoot Bob. It was like 3 or 4 people. That's it.
Yep.
And we did a lot of like mobility. I did some yoga for him, and then we'd teach some technique, and then everyone would leave. But now Marco, he has got the rolling going at 7 o'clock. It's fun.
Yep. Well,
6 a.m. for anyone who wants to start training in the morning. I feel like you should.
Yep. 4 days a week.
Taylor used to do 6 a.m. every once in a while. Remember?
I used to do 6 a.m. Yes.
Yeah.
It was
Back in the day.
back when it was before the rolling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Her
Just
dad actually came once.
Yeah.
I remember that. good times.
That's awesome.
All right. So I don't think that's all the questions. Maybe we can spend a little time talking about this weekend.
Tournament
And then we
recap.
can finish with, just a little sound bite for Tayla, whatever
Okay.
she wants to say.
Okay. So we did Grappling Industries this weekend.
I told you to sign up because I signed up.
Yep,
And what
yep.
happened?
Yeah. I trained over at Team Curran. I trained over here with Joey as well. And so Joey wanted me to sign up, but put RMMA as my school so we could get more team points. And then Team Curran ended up getting third, and RMMA got fourth. So Joey's a little salty at me right now. So
I'm not salty.
Yeah, no, it's all
not
good.
even a little bit.
Yeah.
But Jay is. 'Cause
Jay wanted that. Jay wanted that team trophy.
Jay, Kenny. So we had 3 people take first place. We had Jay, Kenny. Jay did no-gi and took first place. Really tough matches, awesome matches.
Adrian got 2 golds.
Adrian took double gold, and so did Kenny.
Yep. And then
Double
Adrian did get a little in terms of points as a team.
We got screwed
they
even
gave
more.
Adrian a gold medal. But they tried to screw this kid twice. So one of his matches, I was coaching him, and he hit a beautiful takedown on a kid. Gets to his back, big toss to the mat. What do you call? You have the Japanese.
It was a knee
term.
sweep, but it was just a body lock.
Yeah.
body fold. But he hit this, which is a funny story because when he first started, he started around the time when we were doing some stand up work, and I used him as an uke. It was to demonstrate because you were there because Tayla. I showed on Tayla, but the point of it was like as we're walking, it's like when the person's moving, they become light. And I was showing on Tayla, and it's almost like, Tayla's around my size and even lighter than me. So it was easy. So I was like, I had to show it on someone heavy. And he's a big kid. He's heavy. He's
Yep.
like 180,
Yep.
And I did this to him, and
It
he
launched him.
and he lost. He's like that, and I think that was what hooked him in jiu-jitsu. I would have to ask him.
That's
but,
awesome.
So he, even as soon as he did it, he looked over at me because he knew it, and then, right after he's like, "That's the move you did to
That's
me."
awesome.
So he, it was really special to see him do that.
Yeah, so he hit that big takedown, and then he hit a really nice, this week everyone's been working on triangles, really nice transition to a front triangle, going for his perpendicular finish, and then right as the kid's about to tap, the ref just stops the match, and he stands up, and he DQs him, and we're like, what? And the guy said, Adrian reached inside his pants to adjust for the triangle. And, me and Joey know from coaching at tournaments, you kind of just nod your head. And you don't really argue with the refs.
I don't really fight with refs unless there's a real reason for it.
So then we just walked away kind of disappointed. And Adrian's brother or someone from his family said to me, why did he lose? And as I started to explain to them why he lost, I said to him, I go, you're not allowed to put your fingers in someone else's gi. And then I was like, but he put his fingers in his gi. So I went back over to the ref and I told him, I think you're incorrect. He's allowed to do that. And then they changed it.
He was like, at first not. He's like,
yeah. Well, but then I got kind of stirred with him. I saw him thinking about it. I looked him right in the face and I said, I'm right. And he was like, okay. Yeah. So then they let Adrian redo that match and he won that one. And then he made it
lose a match.
And then he made it all the way to what we thought was his finals match, and they just told him that wasn't the match.
That was in the gi, right?
Yep.
So then he took first place in the gi. They played out that division, and I think what happened honestly is because it's all double elimination or whatever. So it's a long tournament.
Yep.
And they had 26 people in that division. Is I think they just the two sides they were supposed to then do the finals match. And I think before even Adrian got into the finals, they already said he lost. They already said the guy who made it to the finals on the other side of the bracket, they just said he won. He won all the way. Mm-hmm. So they finished the winner's bracket before Adrian even got into it.
Not cool.
Yeah, it was just kind of I think it was just them all right, let's speed this process up because it is a long tournament. But
it was kind
of shitty, but he still got his gold medal, but we got a silver for our team.
In terms of points, yeah. So in terms of
and I will say right away, I don't care.
No.
I want you to know that.
No, I know.
But at the same time, we did good.
They did great.
Yeah.
No.
We did
Awesome.
good.
I mean, the team did
Jay
awesome.
earned it.
So let's just go down the list. So Adrian did amazing. Double gold, didn't lose a match.
It was very impressive.
Ton of matches.
His best performance, and he just keeps getting better. Adrian's super tough already, but
he had a really cool match where he was down 2-0 and footlocked the guy at the end. That was a really exciting one. So Adrian.
And I'll say too about his division because he's an adult. At 170, it's the biggest division.
Yep. He reminds me that's what I was doing all the time.
It's the hardest
rough.
division.
Yeah.
It's there's the most people at that weight.
Yeah.
So
really
then special for him to go out and win.
And then we also had as adult, you had Pete the Greek.
Yeah. So we'll do the first place. We got Kenny. He took double gold, gi, no gi. Great matches against two same people in gi and no gi, and
Was it kind of the same thing every time, taking the back and just choking? That seems to be his modus operandi.
Yeah, he definitely fixed some things from his previous tournaments when it came to control. Like now he's like he gets it. So what's cool about his matches in general, everything that he's done before is just fixed. So now it's just a matter of him finding the right matchup that's difficult for him to learn something new.
Yeah, good.
Right? You know what I mean? His stand-up work was really good. Good takedowns. He made a good correction between matches. His first match, he was playing in the gi too close. He was like pulling the person in, and the guy was shorter, and it was like kind of giving the guy closer, giving him his legs. And I taught him, the defensive stiff arm and be able to rotate the hand, and he got that again the next match. Pushes, and as soon as the guy pulled, I said, just snap down will be easy. Snap down. It's like it was cool to see the corrections. So shout out to Kenny.
Awesome, Kenny boy.
He's a veteran of the podcast. Yep. We'll always talk with the veterans.
He's the king of Chicago.
The king of Chicago, they call him. I've heard that just now. And Jay did awesome. Jay took first place. Really tough division. His first match was awesome. I think it was a clean first rear naked choke. Pretty smooth without much difficulty or without much opposition to it. But then the second match was really tough. I think he won by 1 point. I think it was like there's a negative point at one point because Jay grabbed his shirt. Okay. The guy's rack guard. He's like, I don't even remember doing it. Or shorts or something. He grabbed something. And then but he won, I think just I think it was a sweep.
Yeah, I remember like there was
2-1 technically, so he won by 1 point.
And I remember like looking over and seeing the exchange where you were on top and he was almost sweeping you again.
It was very close. It was nice. I'd like to watch it again. All of them I want to watch again, but that was a really close, interesting match, and he just kind of got his knees close together as he was trying to do some body lock passing that I think could have easily be fixed. And he will not get, he was getting swept and recovering, and the only reason why he won was the wrestle ups. Right? When you got swept, I was like, just wrestle back. And he got an underhook, wrestled up. It was really fun. That's awesome. And then the last match was another really close, tough match. And he got his first rubber guard experience. A rubber guard
Someone rubber guarded you? Okay.
Yeah, they put him in the rubber guard, and I can see a little bit, and there was moments where I saw him trying to pull out, and I was like, nope, just stay there. It's okay. Just step over the knee. And like, talked him through it really well, and he did awesome. So it was a really good first place. And then Pete the Greek.
Shout out Pete the Greek.
Fun story with Pete. His first match, and we'll say Tayla has a direct connection with Pete because you are his first coach.
She's the white belt bash coach.
You are the white belt bash coach, which we'll get into a full recap on that someday. We're going to do that. But you even did a private lesson with him.
Tayla hold the Greek flag for the recap.
Yeah. Well, let's do that before I tell you about Pete's matches more. You did a private lesson with him the day before the tournament.
Yes.
How'd it go?
Good. He wanted to work on mount escapes because I think in his last match he got
mounted.
Mount, yeah. And then also some finishes from the mount. So we went over arm bars from the mount, going to S mount, going to the arm bar, and then also the arm triangle.
Nice.
I wasn't.
Which you're good. That's her specialty in terms of her first place medal.
That was that gold medal move.
Yeah, it's a gold medal move. What about teaching privates? What do you think in terms of the difference, the feeling of it, if you're teaching a group versus a private lesson?
Be prepared to fill up the time. But I feel like
that's a really good thing to say. I mean, you don't realize when you have a group of people how much like time just kind of gets wasted in like these weird sort of things.
Before you know it,
you're not doing it on purpose. Yeah, but like when you're in a private and you're that one person focused at you the whole time, there's a lot to fill. I'm sure you can just get so much more information for somebody.
It's hard for me to ever, and it sounds silly, but like I can't run out of time. Mm-hmm. I can just keep. It could be a 10-hour private. Mm-hmm. I have so much stuff I want to talk about. Yeah. I guarantee whoever I'm with will get more tired before I'm tired. Yeah. When it comes like,
so you're saying like you can't run out of information. Yeah. You can run out of time.
Oh, I always run out of time.
That's
At some point, they will get more fatigued by trying to learn what I'm trying to do. No. That's just how I am with I just have more stuff I can show you. So it's like I never have a problem filling time, right?
It's like you have something planned and then it can go completely the other direction because if you're teaching a class, like a group of people, they might be so fixated on like the first drill and then you have to like adjust kind of like, okay, let's adjust from what we were originally planning to fixing this specific technique because it's important. Rather than when you have a one-on-one with somebody, it's different because you can ask them like, are you understanding this? Yeah, and feeling it because it's them doing it to you rather than them doing it to a partner. So I think I like the one-on-ones. I had it with Pete, and then also this other girl the week
Deanna?
before. Yeah, Deanna.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, our little prodigy.
Nice.
Yeah,
For Tayla.
she's gonna be
Tayla's
good.
first,
Nice.
first student. To be honest, like
Yeah.
Deanna, it's cool. And I said this to someone before, but as you teach more,
Mm-hmm.
and it's special when you watch someone's, because you felt her first class.
Yeah.
She's a young girl. She's 14, I think.
Yeah.
And
Freshman.
yeah, she's super young but really passionate about it already. She after every class, I don't know if she did this with you or not, but after every class, she's like, "Hey, can you help me with my notes? Can you write these down for me?"
No.
So I write down, what we did a little bit, and then she studies it, reads it. But you're gonna see it someday, whether it's 6 months or a year, who knows? But at some point, you're gonna see her and be like, "Wow, look how much better she's gotten."
Yeah.
So that's like the evolution, or like the circle of life,
Yep.
like the Lion King.
Moves the soul.
Yeah. Yeah. So privates are definitely a different vibe. But yeah, I think it's cool because I'll also say I've had some classes, especially when we first started the school, where it's a class, but one person shows up. And I actually remember one time it was you.
Yes.
Do you remember that? I think it was 11 o'clock. Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
match.
Yeah. It was just her. And so of course I had a lesson plan, but then as it was just you, there was a level of like flexibility in how I taught. And then also a level of like, it was tailored for you. It became a tailored class. Hey,
class.
that was good. It was tailored. Tailored.
Tailored.
It was tailored to you. It's like that is a flexibility that's difficult for some teachers. When they start, they might you plan this class and you're so excited about it, and then who shows up? One 350-pound person, 100-pound person.
Guess we're berimboloing.
Yeah. It's like you have to be flexible,
Yep.
and I think you're learning these skills as you go, because you will have those moments. And yeah.
All right. So how'd Petey boy do?
Pete, he did awesome. His first match, so we've talked about this, Pete, and I'm not afraid to say it publicly because I've said to you privately. He has mental issues when it comes. He's physically very, very good and technically very good, especially for the lack of training. I mean, he hasn't trained that long.
Yep.
But he's technically very good because he's smart. But sometimes smart people, I think, have the most struggle mentally.
They overthink it. Yeah.
Like yourself too.
Yeah.
You feel that way. Like
Yeah.
Kyle's very intellectual. He's very smart, and sometimes gets in his head a little bit. I'm so dumb. I don't get in my own head. It's like I can just go do it. So I don't overthink things too much when it comes to competing. I'm just used to it.
Yep.
So I have a hard time relating to that, but I know, like, I can hear it, and it's fun. It's really interesting because his kids compete too. Both his kids competed. We can talk about the kids too, but both his kids, Harry and Billy, both competed, and I see him do the same thing as his kids, and his kids do the same thing as him, which they're just in their head. Like I can just see it, like nervous and like my stomach hurts. Not that Pete says, "Oh, my stomach hurts," but I could just tell it's the nerves, And he underperformed, especially the first match. In his head, he got stuck in a weird position. He's like, "Oh, my knee." And he's like, "Oh, my knee."
Yeah.
And but that's his knee's okay.
Yep.
It's sore. It was already sore.
Yep.
So then he kind of went into another bad position, like tapped, right? And he even knew it too. Like if we talked about it, it's like, man, I kind of just not nervous. But then every match after that, he got a little bit better. By the end of it, he was doing amazing.
So the thing I would say that
he won some really tough matches. He beat the guy who beat everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
so hearing that, you saying that he kind of struggles a little bit. I remember he said to me before his last gi match, he goes, my knee's really messed up. I'm gonna go out and do this match. And then I think I'm not going to do no-gi. He's like, I'm definitely not doing no-gi. And he went out and did that match, and he beat, I think he
beat the number one guy, the guy who's really good.
That guy was really good, and he really scrapped it out and beat that guy. And then, I was just,
he was motivated?
I was proud of him. And then I kind of expected him not to do it. And then I turn around and he's out there doing all his no-gi matches.
And he did great no-gi.
And he even had one of those things where literally had his shoes on, was walking out, and they're like, hey, you got one more match. And he turns back to the guy and goes like, I'm trying to go home. And he just walked back out there and did the match. Yeah.
That was a good Greek accent.
Yep. I'm trying to go home. I have one accent. It's just one.
It's all kind of Mexican. Try to go home. Yeah. No, Pete did really good, and I would say one of my highlights in the entire day yesterday was Pete's Haragoshi that he threw from an overhook.
Beautiful.
He was there, and I remember he's doing great hand fighting with the guy, and he loves stand up. I can tell he just loves it, and I said to him, because he had an overhook, he kept losing the battle for the underhook, so he goes good over, and he had a great overhook, and he's using it. So I called him Uchimata, and he hears Uchimata, and he even said to me, he's like, I heard a Japanese term, so I just like made a hook and jumped. So I wanted the Uchimata, which is, both of them are hard to do, but like in that case, the guy was driving, it would have been like just put the hand on the floor, just kind of kick up.
Yep.
And he goes all the way across the body of the far leg and throws this guy. And it's like the most beautiful throws I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
Like legitimately, I told him, like, there's people who practice judo their whole life who like never land that in a perfect exchange.
They're waiting for that moment.
Like, it was legit.
That's awesome.
And then he lost. Then he got submitted like right after. And he was still just the happiest guy.
Did you see that
was
throw?
awesome.
Did you see that
and I was
throw?
like, high five. It's so cool. Yeah. So it's fun, man. I really think competing, like we've mentioned, we'll say it again. It's like winning, losing means absolutely nothing. Everyone cares about you no matter what, but how you perform. And in terms of mental stuff like that, like, so I cared about that. If Pete would have, after that first match, been like, I'm done. Like he didn't need to quit.
Nope.
He didn't need to.
So a great example of what you're just saying about it is Jesse, who also competed as well. Like, I mean, you came over to me.
Jesse did great.
Yeah,
too.
he had that first match, as you said, the guy was, was really rough, but you were
But he
so
survived.
impressed
It
at
was
how he
so
did. He did
impressive,
really
man.
good against this guy.
Jesse's super happy with himself too, and like that means something as well.
Yeah.
I'm proud of him. I thought he did really great because Jesse, for those who don't know, he's come to our school from somewhere else. He's a blue belt, and then he came in and he really likes the way that we train. And then he did the Chicago Open for ADCC, and he struggled. He got blasted right away because it is. I mean, same thing for you, Tayla. There's a big difference between beginner and intermediate. So if we divide that, for those who don't know, like intermediate is blue belts and purple belts. That's a high level. I mean, you get a purple belt. There's blue belts in the world who are way better than you, Kyle, and I. Let's just be honest.
Killers, yeah.
They're just, they've been training since they were little kids, and they're phenoms. So you will run into that. And so he ran into two really tough guys, and it's just the reality of it. It was tough.
Yep.
And I can tell, same thing with you. He had that thing of like, I need to do a tournament again to just kind of get this, kind of wash it out. And then again, it's a tough match, and he did gi and no gi. And his first gi match was a really tough guy. Like, and he's like, I saw him compete. He's tough. And he's like, so he went out there and he survived this like awesome armbar exchange, and he really slick escape, and then was really competitive, really close match, lost by 2 points, 3 points, something like that. And then he went out and won a match, lost a match. So he had his ups and downs, and I was super happy with him. And I think, he was super impressed with his own fatigue, that he didn't get that he could keep going.
That's cool.
It's like I was scared I wasn't going to be able to keep going. And yeah, Jesse did great, man. Super proud of him. Yeah. Who else? Anyone else? Taylor. Yes, Taylor. So Taylor signed up at like the last moment. Not Taylor.
Taylor. Yes.
Taylor. He did the ADCC and did really well, which, I mean, we were shocked, and it's not to sound mean, but like he never competed, never did anything. And he also even said like, I don't really care. I'm just going to kind of go do it. Like he wasn't like, I'm going to go kill these guys.
But that's funny. He wins one match, and I was like,
he wins
like this.
Yeah. He wins a match with a Darce. It was like, everyone was like, went crazy. I remember like Sergio was like his jaw was up. Like, wow, that's amazing. And then he signed up for this one like in the last moment. And I would say those two guys he faced were really good. Like it was impressive with them. They both are just, really good. And he got ankle picked, and then he survived a triangle, which the story, I even talked to him about it right after, and like he got triangled at ADCC, and then he escaped the triangle really well, like navigated it perfectly and escaped. And I could just tell that was the little victory. Like every tournament you have a victory somehow. Yep. Even just showing up can be a victory, but that was a big victory for him. And then he lost. These kids were good. They're no joke. They were tough. But that triangle escape was definitely something special for him.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then we had the kids. Everyone did great. Billy and Harry did awesome. Mikey.
Any other adults you can think of?
I think that's it for our adults. We had 6 of them.
So then the only other adult that we would have had. So
how about Colton?
So Colton Folliard, he's been training with us. Colton got 4 gold medals. He did 2 absolute divisions and then 2 of his divisions.
I think that's his first time winning the absolutes in this fashion.
Yeah,
too.
and he was really proud of himself. He's a pretty intense guy. He was proud of himself that he submitted everybody. He said like he had done that once before as white belt, but now since he's been competing at blue belt and doing absolutes and stuff, he had ones where he'd gotten close but hadn't submitted everybody. So it was a good gold for him.
Yeah, it was a great performance. I got to coach him a few matches, and
so then
when I was in his corner, watching him, coach, and it's just the way that he's. You can tell he's a competitor.
Yeah.
So and that's a skill. And me and Kyle talk about this. The reason why I did the tournament that I didn't get to do, by the way, For anyone who didn't hear that story, I told Kyle to sign up. He got to do it. My opponent backed out.
Yeah, and I'll give you a little more of that story.
Yeah.
To say, yeah,
but to, watch. It's a skill set, and I think Colton comes from a football background mostly, right? But even just competitiveness in general. But it's a skill to be able to go in and be calm and be able to act well.
The way he carries himself, right? Yeah.
I'm really interested in the idea in general of just performance, not trying to win, not trying to lose, not caring win or lose, but just being the best performer that you can. Because if you perform well, you'll probably do the best that you possibly can. And then the only thing I'm ever really upset about for myself is if I beat myself, made a stupid mistake, did something wrong. But if I perform well, I don't have to worry about that. And if someone beats me, they deserve it. Good job.
And he has like a good balance of like bravado and like enthusiasm and like,
but he's humble about it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like,
he realizes like, oh man, like I probably could have done that better.
Yes.
Or like, when it came to stand up stuff.
Yeah. It's like the perfect balance.
They keep falling into this.
Yeah. He's not going out there going like, I'm going to dominate everybody, but he's not going out there with any sort of fear. He expects to win.
I mean, if you're going to do the absolute division, you have to be very confident.
Yeah.
So he shout out to him. He did really great.
So this is what really funny. And this is what actually kind of confused me a little bit. I need to ask him about that. So I don't know if there were multiple absolutes if he did, but
there is, the Masters.
Okay, so it was a Masters absolute. That'll make sense. So the Masters absolute, the final
and Masters.
They do the Masters. They do the absolutes as the first matches of the day, so that if adults want to do the absolutes, they can rest to their advanced divisions later. And I was watching the finals of the Master Absolute, and Joey was standing there, and I go, "Hey, Joey, the finals of that's our first two competitors are going against each other." And then they went, and then the first guy went against, tapped the guy Joey was going against, and then that guy came up to Joey and said, "I'm not going to compete. I'm injured."
He said he came up to me and he said, "I'm gonna have to bow out."
Yeah.
He said, "Are you Joey?" And then he said, "I'm gonna have to bow out. Like my shoulders a little tweaked up." And then what he said was like, "I have a big tournament next week." And I was like, "Yeah, me too."
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. So he's going to the ADCC trial or the trials, right?
Yep.
So, in my head I was like, we could just like go practice if we want. We could go, we're
That's
both
what I
going
came
to the
here
same
to
place.
do. Yeah.
Like, we're both going to the same thing. But it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope his shoulder's all right.
Yeah, I
we'll
hope
see
he's
him
good.
next week.
I'll see you out there, Justin.
Yeah. Anything else with the tournament? So Kyle did really great. I'll recap your matches.
Awesome.
So Kyle did great. Kyle, I told Kyle that I think it's a good idea for us to just go into this tournament with the intention of practicing, competing, and performing. And that's exactly what he did. He went in and he had 3 matches. And the first match, I remember, I videotaped him, so we have some video to watch. But you played your game, which is good, and that's what I wanted you to do. But I also wanted you to practice the point system of it. And you did a good job of getting on top whenever there was an exchange for it. Because at ADCC, that's going to be the only difference. That's going to make or break your matches.
Yeah.
And a couple of different potty lock scenarios that you played out really well. And even just digesting some of the game of the half guard. Because obviously you have what you do good.
Yep.
But when it doesn't work, now what?
Developing more often.
Yeah, and you've developed a really good system now of the 2 arms and the head as like a kind of a triangle of your butterfly half guard.
Yeah.
And I think what we were talking about today would be a big target as well, is to start using more of the underhook game.
Yep.
But we'll talk more about this in private.
Yep.
Doesn't need to be on the air, but yeah. But yeah, so
Give his secrets.
I know.
Yep.
So he did great. He had three great wins, some close matches, tough matches too.
Yep.
It wasn't easy.
No, the other were tough.
They were tough.
Tough guys.
And, yeah, so I think it was super beneficial, man. How do you feel? Do you sore?
I felt really good. I was a little sore this morning. I feel like it was the day before I did our Friday competition class with Ortiz, and that was a rough day. Yeah. So
well, and that's I know it's cliche to say, but that's why we train hard.
So the competitions feel like nothing.
If you train our Friday night classes, it's like realistically you're not going to roll an hour straight hard any competition. There's no competition in the world where you're going to roll with 30-second breaks for an hour. So nothing should be as hard.
Yep.
But what changes is obviously the mentality behind it and like the pressure of it that fatigues people.
And that was something I was trying to just focus on
I
staying
said
really
too,
calm,
And I wanted you to practice even just your recovery between rounds, trying to eat food so that your stomach feels good. Like these are all just things that we get better at if we practice it. So I was really proud that you did it, and I can tell it worked out well.
Yeah, it was
you
fun.
didn't get sick. You didn't get nervous.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah,
That's a button.
Woo!
Awesome. Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else? What do you think?
No, tournament recap was good. We got ADCC trials coming up next week.
You know what we're gonna do? We decided to. We're bringing the Roadcaster with us.
Bring the Roadcaster.
We're gonna bring it with because
Good.
we're driving.
Yeah.
So we'll drive with it, and we'll what we'll do is we'll do Sunday just like normal.
Awesome.
And you know who's coming with us? Miguel.
Miguel,
Miggy.
you're on the podcast,
Miggy's
baby.
gonna be on the podcast.
Miggy's
we'll do it.
next.
Miggy is next. So me, you, and Miguel will sit down while we're driving back, and we'll plug in, and we'll take a little podcast break.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really interested. Miguel's an interesting character. It'll be interesting to hear
Miguel's
about his life.
awesome.
Yeah.
Miguel is, it'll be fun to talk about Miguel, especially when he's going to do the Open. So
Yep.
he's coming with us to the trials. So the trials is the tournament that's the big tournament on Saturday and Sunday. But then Friday they're doing Open before it, and Miguel signed up for it right away.
Nice.
Miguel's an ultra
First
competitor.
one
He
signed
loves
up,
it. Yeah,
baby.
he's always the first one to sign up for stuff. So
Well, we do have to say Miguel is the only other one besides me and Joey who traveled somewhere
Yes.
to do an Open. He was the reason
And he
we
won a medal.
He was the reason we have a medal from Arizona. We would not have a medal from Arizona if it wasn't for Miguel. So shout out Miguel.
to Miguel. Miggy.
Awesome.
So that'll be fun next week.
Are you guys ready for next weekend?
Yeah,
What
we're
do you
feeling
think?
good. I'm
What do you
feeling
think?
feeling as good as I can. I mean, yeah.
I had some moments today. That's just me being transparent and honest. Like when I was rolling, I think I needed to eat better. I didn't eat this morning at all.
Okay.
But I was like, oh shit, I'm tired.
Okay.
Like after my first, I went a hard round
Yep.
with Jesus,
Yep.
a friend who came in. I was like, ooh, I'm a little tired. I need to I need to drink some water and stuff and like wake up.
I'm always tired.
Yeah. So but that's just, that's part of being a competitor too, is like understanding, like, again, it's performing. So I don't give a shit how I feel. None of it matters. I just got to go win matches when the matches start. So obviously you want to feel good going into it, but like, I don't care.
That was one of my favorite descriptions Joe ever said about me grappling. He was like, every time
You always
I
look
rolled-
like shit.
Every time I was like, Kyle, he's immediately exhausted, but he just never gets tired. It doesn't make sense. Like,
No, I feel like you are tired. You just don't stop.
I just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Kyle used to you're better now, but you
Yeah.
used to breathe like an animal, like literally like a dog, like the face of a dog breathing.
Just on his face.
And his name is Dogface.
Dog face.
Whenever I say Dogface, I need that sound.
Get a bark.
Well, let's pretend like this is a button. So if I say Dogface, what sound do you make? We'll have a few different
Yeah, a
dog
little
sounds.
pouting, fat, mad, angry, asking for something, scratching, scratching on the counter.
door?
Yeah, let me out.
He needs
let
to
me
go to
out.
the bathroom. Yeah. So I don't really care about how I feel. You know what I mean? Like I know it sounds silly, but it's all about performing. So like the day of, in that match, especially the first match, second match, this is single elimination. So it's all about how we perform.
Do you
Yeah,
guys
I
have
think-
a routine in the morning that you do, like on comp day, or no? You just wake up and go.
It's kind of wake up and go. Yeah, I try
Well,
to
I can
make
say,
a big deal.
because we're in the same hotel room a lot. Like me and Kyle are just super chill.
Yeah, we're pretty
We
lazy.
like lay in
bums.
bed. We're like, can we watch another movie before we go?
I think every single time the night before, it's like all right.
Kyle falls asleep actually kind of early.
I
noticed that.
usually I don't know what it is, but I think traveling like takes it out of me a little bit.
Kyle's like dead asleep, and I'm watching movies. I'm like, hey, you see that? And he's sleeping.
But
snoring.
every morning it's like we'll get to the place at 8, and then we both wake up at like
9.
7:15, and we're like, I mean, we don't have to be there until.
Yeah, we're kind of lazy and chill,
Yep.
and I think that's my best routine. Is
Yeah.
like I just want to relax.
Yep.
Yeah, no
I don't get to
rushing.
relax very often, so I enjoy it.
I mean, honestly, like even just that, I like having like 3-4 hours before my match of the tournament, and then being able to like actually almost try to like fall asleep for an hour. That's a big that
Yeah,
helps me a
and
lot.
I think that's everyone's different, but that's definitely part of my routine. Is I like to get there, and then I like to take a nap.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's my
There's
favorite
like a
thing.
picture
And it's
of
not even
both
like a
of you.
real nap. It's like a kind of asleep, kind of awake. I like the sounds. I listen with my eyes closed, cover my eyes. I
like if
just
anybody
listen.
said my name, I would immediately
Like I'm not
Yeah.
fully asleep, but I'm like out, and like I love that feeling. That once I wake up from that nap, then I turn it on and I start getting
Yeah.
like
See
amped
it,
up.
and that kind of happened to me yesterday. I went to do that for just 10 minutes before my matches, and
then there's coaching?
I actually started to fall asleep, and I was like, "Oh, that's not good." Like, I had to like wake myself up a little bit. Yeah,
We have a
There's a-
great photo of me and you.
Yeah. Yep.
You're gonna say that?
There's
Yeah.
a picture of you guys at Chicago, like in between the bleachers, both hood over face,
both
just
asleep.
knocked out.
Yeah.
bundled up.
That's a good photo.
That's awesome.
Do you have any pre-match routines or
Um,
pre-tournament?
I try not to like go by anybody and talk to anybody, but the last one, my sister kept coming up to me. It was like trying to give me advice and stuff. I'm like, okay.
What
it's okay.
advice?
she's like, just relax. Like, don't really warm up yet, or like,
Dude,
she's
your
like
dad
this,
was
she's
telling
like-
her to go.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I need you to relax. I need you to relax.
I'm like, I'm good. I just want to like stretch out, like get out of my head, and, play like some music and like.
Do you
not
do
that.
music? That's a big one because I don't do music. I can't.
I do.
I've tried and I feel like it takes me out of it.
I don't
do
mind
music.
it. I from playing football, like we would be in the locker room, like just
Yeah,
bumping hardcore.
some people love that
yeah,
shit.
music. Yeah,
I
it would get me
think like some
pumped.
people they put their headphones in, they love that, but like that takes me out of the. I like the sounds of the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's like my music is like the, people like screaming and stuff. I love that stuff. So
Are you
I
kind of the same as me? Just like I've just done it so much now. Like I don't really need anything. Do I have my shorts?
Yeah.
Like okay, I'll just go
Yeah, I
out
don't
there
even
and do
need
it.
a
I don't
shirt.
care how. That was the greatest thing. The last ADCC when we went to Chicago, Joey's like, I didn't even bring a rash guard. I'm like,
So
what?
I hope,
He's like,
I hope
don't
they
have
change
a
the
shit.
rules.
Yeah.
And I've even competed at certain tournaments. This was years ago, but I went in without my shirt and they're like, you can't do that. I was like, I don't have a rash guard. What am I gonna do? So I had to wear like my regular t-shirt. Yeah, that was a long time ago. But yeah, so I don't know. Is there any other pre-ritual stuff? I don't know. I'm not very. What's the word like? When someone's superstitious.
Yeah, I'm not like that at all.
Superstitious. Some people have to wear the same thing, and
No.
I'm pretty chill about that. But I will say I do like routine. So like the Lifetime right now is the thing now.
It's our thing,
So
yeah.
I guess I would be upset if I didn't get to go to Lifetime the day before. We'll definitely try to do that in Florida.
Ain't not happening. It ain't not
Yeah,
happening.
it ain't
all
not
right?
happening.
Yeah, I'm definitely routine based. So
Yeah.
like I like to have like music on, go away from everybody, like think about what I want to do, all that, and then like.
What about right before the match? Do you start jumping around? Do you slap yourself around? Like I get.
I do all that stuff. I
slaps.
jump in and smack.
Yeah, I mean everyone's different.
I think I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, that's
I don't know
important.
what's like
So a big
the
thing,
best.
a big thing for me that I read. So the Russian Olympic teams have had sports psychologists for their athletes like way before it ever became a thing for anybody. And one of the things they taught them is like, and you'll see this from a lot of UFC fighters, and I'm almost positive everyone stole this from Arlovsky because he came over from Russia and would do it. And they teach you to jump up and down and shake out your limbs, and they tell you to think about all your nervousness is water that's on your body, and you're just trying to shake the water droplets off you.
Cool.
And that's one of the things I do that really, really helps me a lot. You just kind of hop up and down and try to like a dog. You try to shake the water off you.
Fresh off the
Yeah,
hose.
but that one really, really helps me a lot. No.
That's a good one.
Kyle got everything wet again. He goes and rolls in the dirt, and then he comes back in.
No.
No, we just gave you a bath. Which we'll say you have two dogs.
I do
We
have
should
two
finish with
dogs.
some of your dog stories. How's your two doggies?
My two dogs are good. They're good. I feel like they're
What's their names?
Harley and Charlie. Yeah, they did this to my socks. So
Okay.
if you see,
Oh, so you're blaming the
video.
dog now.
That's Harley. That's Charlie.
Harley's the one.
Harley, that's Charlie.
Okay.
This one's
Harley and
Harley
Charlie.
and Charlie.
So do you ever practice jujitsu on your dogs?
yeah. I don't like put them in chokes or anything. I don't do that. I don't choke my dogs. But
In case Peter's listening.
let's
Animal
get that
abuse.
straight.
Animal abuse. Yeah.
But like if they're behind me, I'll like try to like invert and like,
Nice,
face
yeah.
them and stuff.
I think
like
that's
that.
always cool. I've seen some funny videos of like pit bulls rolling. You ever
Yeah.
see that? Like
Yeah.
where they have a gi on and everything.
I think that's
pretty
the
neat.
cutest thing ever.
I used to do it with my Shih Tzu all the time. I would just
Your
get in,
Shih
I would get inverted and get up and he would just be looking at him like, why are your legs
is
above
that-
my head?
Is that dog still alive?
No, Cookie. We had to put him down.
No,
No, it's all
I
right.
met Cookie
He
once or
was-
twice. Hard to soft spot
Oh, don't-
for the
don't
dog.
break my heart. No, that-
yeah, Cookie was falling apart. though,
Yeah,
buddy.
he was towards
I mean this
it.
nicely, but
my mom.
Cookie, I remember the last time I saw Cookie was like
just
limped
couldn't
in,
see.
no eyes,
Yeah.
like one eyeball falling off.
Yeah, my mom said my
my.
mom said the end for Cookie was like one day she went to let him off to pee and he just fell down the stairs twice and she said like your brain just went like yeah I think that's it. Yeah, you know.
That was same
R.I.P.
story.
Cookie.
Same, same story with our Sarge. Right?
Yeah.
My dog Sarge. Just that dog did not know when to quit.
Was he a little dog?
He was a half Pomeranian, half like Sheltie or
Yeah.
like whatever Lassie dog is, that Collie, Sheltie, something.
Those
like long hair.
Those little fucking dogs.
It was like a
man.
medium dog,
Yeah.
right? And they just lived forever. And it got hit by a car when it was like 8.
Okay.
And then lived for another 10, 12 years.
Jeez.
Like,
That's
like
a
at
long
least.
time for a dog.
Yeah, it was an old dog.
Yeah.
By the end of it, like we knew it was over because he just like didn't want to do anything. Just chill. You know, he was like wasn't getting up. That dog was like it was shit.
My
that dog
aunt
was awesome.
My aunt had
that
a
dog
German.
would come home with bones, man. Like he'd be gone for 2 months, come back and be like, "Hey, man, what's up? How you doing?" It's just living.
My aunt had a German Shepherd that literally towards the end of his life he just couldn't bark, so he would just sit, and just nothing would come out. Yeah, just nothing came out of his mouth. Yeah. Dogs are awesome.
Yeah, I like my cats better.
What's your favorite part of having a dog?
Favorite part of having a dog? How excited they get when you come home.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
you've never
nice.
experienced what it's like to have a cat
No.
who is not excited when you get home, and then someday will come up to you and rub their head on you, and you're like, oh, because
did
like
I
you
do?
always expect it from a dog. It's not that big of a deal.
I
you
will
know,
say-
you know when you get home, your dog's gonna come up and run up to
Yeah.
you. And I don't know. I have no idea whether my cats are gonna bite me or run or I
She
don't know.
needs the routine, Joey. She needs
I love,
the
but
routine.
I love earning
I do,
that.
I do.
that- I earn my love from these cats
I
by
did
feeding
cat-
them.
I did
That's about
cat
it.
sit for my friend once, and I was like, "Where's the cat? Where's the cat? I lost the cat." But it was like
Now they're just
hiding in
hiding.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
I've never
completely
been around
independent.
cats
We
like
love them.
that.
Yeah, I have 2 hairless cats. For anyone who doesn't know, completely hairless. Kind of like think of Dr. Evil,
Yeah.
Mr. Bigglesworth.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my cats.
If you ever saw Friends, Phoebe had a cat like that.
Yeah, that's one of my cats. Is Tenzin. But then I also have an elf sphinx. That's a cat. It's actually a miniaturized version, so it's smaller, doesn't grow much bigger, and its ears are really pointy. That's a cool cat.
Yeah.
We'll post some photos. Everyone wants to see my cats.
They're both. I would
Forget
say,
about your dogs, Tayla.
I want to
Forget
say I
about my
like one more
dogs.
than the other. They both have their like different
Personalities?
appeals.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
totally different
Yeah, okay.
personality wise. One's male, one's female, but the female one is definitely saucy
Okay.
and spicy, and then
Okay.
Tenzin's like just kind of goofy.
Kind of chill and yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll do a whole episode on our pets.
We gotta
Do you
do
have
it.
another pet? You're just
No,
done?
no animals. Yeah.
Just
He's the
Legos.
animal of the house.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm the dog. Yeah.
The dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, your mom's like, no more dogs after Kyle.
Yep. Yep.
Too
Can't
many.
handle too many dogs in one
Yeah.
room.
They don't get along.
Yeah, when he gets a dog, I mean, it's hard, right? Like, because dogs, they're brothers, right? Yours?
Yeah.
Because, like, if you got a new dog, they do, like, it takes a little time.
So to set in and
Like,
get
set in,
attached
so, like-
and yeah.
It's like you and Cookie got along well, right?
Well, I mean, we got him as a baby. Yeah, we got him as a baby.
Did
yeah,
you guys
he's-
argue?
yeah, we got
I
him
don't
as
know
a
if
baby.
you caught my joke. I'm just saying your dog.
Me
You
and
guys
my-
got-
me and my
It's like you
brother
got a
fought.
new one. Would you,
Yeah.
like,
Is he using my food bowl?
Yeah,
My food
get
bowl?
off my
Get off
bowl.
my bowl. Yeah.
It's my toy.
Kyle bit the dog again.
I
Yeah. Anything else, guys? I think this is pretty good.
think that's good.
This is
I think that's
yeah.
good. So
Thank you guys for having
Yeah,
me.
give us
Yeah.
one last little sound bite, Tayla. So if I know we already did like if you were talking to a girl and why they should
Yeah.
train jiu-jitsu, but maybe just if you wanted something, this could be a good idea, Kyle. Like obviously podcasts they last on.
Yeah.
So in the future, let's assume that you make it to a black belt, you train, these next 10 years. What would you like to say to that person? What would you like to, this is something that will live on. So there'll be a time when you'll be able to listen back to this in 5 years, 10 years, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say?
Say to future black belt me.
Yeah, future black belt Tayla.
Okay. Well, if we made it to the black belt, we did not give up, so that's good. I don't know, man. Hopefully, I don't know. There's so much
tough
going
one.
through my mind.
well, yeah, that's a hard one.
That's a good question.
Talking to your future self is interesting. Most people always say, "What would you say to your past self?"
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you kind of know things you did wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
I think talking to your future self, it's like
We made it.
you want that. What that does too is it reaffirms what you want right now because you can't imagine yourself any other way besides how you want it to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, thank you for being what I want it to be. Or if
Yeah.
you know that you're lazy and you're not going to do what you're supposed to do, right? Like, but we always see. Hopefully, you see the best in yourself that you will. And I have no doubt, Taylor. Like I've already said nice things about you, but you are definitely everything that a jiu-jitsu practitioner should be. You're a great student. You're a great help for everyone. You're a good piece of the community. You help everyone, and everyone really appreciates you in the school.
I appreciate everyone. Everyone's been such a help and an impact on my life. Seriously, so much. But thank you for saying that. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for
It's
being
been
our
fun.
guest. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. Awesome. So that
think
was
that's
Keep
it.
It Rolling. That was an awesome Sunday rolling. The podcast
Next
is
week
rolling.
with Miguel.
And we'll keep it rolling next week with Miguel off at ADCC. We'll see you guys then.